Zach Dixon in row number 4. Seth Christensen in the 45 outside of row number 4.
National Fairgrounds Speedway champion Cole Williams starts inside of row 5 as we look at the rest of our lineup in the top 10. Cars will take a number of laps to get some heat in the tires on a warmer evening tonight, but still on the cool side. Tomorrow's going to be the nicest day of it as we send it down to our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Bob Dillner.
Interesting move already. Bubba Pollard did not have a good qualifying run to his standards, so he brought this machine in, and they're making some changes because remember, these cars were impounded. The teams could not make any adjustments whatsoever. So what they wanted to do is make those adjustments now. He's going to lose some spots, but he believes by making these adjustments, he's going to have a much better car, and that will enable him to come through the field. Anthony Bello will also be pulling down pit road in that Dylan Feccio number 51 to make those same type of adjustments. He was starting way back in the field after transferring from the last chance race, so he too will be making adjustments.
Thanks, Bob. And they're not alone. Brandon Lopez, the last car to get in the field by virtue of the last chance race, also coming to the attention of his crew, trying to take advantage of the parade and pace laps they're going to have before this race sees the green flag.
This place a near sellout tonight on a Saturday for the Allen Turner Snowflake 100. It is a sellout when it comes to reserved seats for tomorrow, maybe a few general admission. Standing room only tickets remain for Sunday for those who arrive to the track. Obviously, some pit passes still remaining as well. This place will be jam-packed, the infield cleared of all the haulers by 9 a.m. tomorrow for the Snowball Derby, with passenger vehicles coming in for those that buy pit passes and parking passes. One of our onboard cameras tonight, Carson Brown, this very fast Anthony Campy Racing number 81.
Yeah, this is the driver who certainly knows how to get around here. He's actually the Allen Turner Pro Late Model Track Champion. Was very fast across all the practice sessions held here at the Speedway for this event. However, when it came time for qualifying, mustered up the 3rd fastest lap time. And as we saw, our second onboard camera for this race is that of Bubba Pollard, who is still awaiting the attention of his crew to be wrapped up so he could rejoin the tail end of the field and make the start of this race.
This race going 100 green flag laps. If they get a green flag run of 50 laps, they will have a competition yellow. That cannot fall within the last 10 laps of the race. 4-tire race. They will not be coming to the pits to take tires unless it's an emergency flat, as we send it to our Joe's Racing Product pit reporter, Jim Trado.
If you've been watching coverage or been here for the Snowball Derby, you've also known Derek Thorne dominates in not just the super lates, but in the pro late models. In the last 4 races, Derek Thorne has qualified 4th or better. Tonight he'll start 14th in the car that Jet Motorsports asked him to drive just this week. So getting adjusted to that car, the new number on the door, the 16 in honor of Jeff Sandlin, he's got his work cut out for him. He's gonna have to pass a few more cars to get up front and win yet another Snowflake here tonight.
Thanks, Jim. And Thorne obviously racing with a little bit of additional incentive as well, carrying the big detail there with the Jeff Sandlin Memorial as he's got his hand out the window waving to the fans. Another Joe's Racing Products pit report. Bob Dillner.
Keep your eye on Jake Finch in the number 18 car. He'll start on the outside of row number 3. Jake, believe it or not, thought he could have qualified better. We thought it was still a good qualifying spot, but he said the car has so much more and that he made a mistake. He was walking to his car. He had his headphones on. I said, Jake, what are you listening to? He says, I'll tell you what, some cool stuff. I'm ready for this battle here tonight for 100 laps. He's going after the big trophy and would be a good pick for tonight's race.
Thanks, Bob, and that certainly is a car that we will be keeping our eyes on for sure, starting outside of row number 3 for that of Jake Finch out of Lynn Haven, Florida, as our drone follows the field at pace car speed, continuing to offer up the opportunity to get some last-minute heat in those tires as the 1-to-go signal is given by our chief starter, Dan Spence, and we are 1 lap away from the green flag. But the Snowflake 100, the history of this race dates back to 1999, and the trajectory of drivers' careers seem to be on a solid path. If you can claim this 100-lap contest, then we're a half a lap away from the green.
2 by 2 as they enter turn 3. 36 drivers in the starting field to turn 4. Dylan Capello on the pole. Matt Craig alongside. The Allen Turner Snowflake 100 is underway in Pensacola.
Still inside. Still inside. Still outside. Outside even. Inside just a 51. Still outside.
Side by side for the lead. Capello on the bottom in the 11. Matt Craig up top in the 54. Everybody sliding their way to the line. Lap 1 almost too close to call. It was Capello by the narrowest of margins.
Capello the advantage off of turn 2. Craig will drop in line. Craig's lap surprised us. The veteran in the 54 in the second spot. We're on board with a third place competitor right now. The 81 of Carson Brown. He's got him side by side right behind him. Grill up to fourth.
The good news for Carson Brown is all the madness is out of the rearview mirror right now. He's riding steadily in third spot. Augie Grill behind him. That's Caden Honeycutt kind of pinched up to the top side now with the 67 of Zach Dixon trying to keep off the left side door of Honeycutt. Down the front stretch they touch.
A close call in turn number 1. Able to give him a little more room there at the last moment was Honeycutt. That saved 2 race cars. Augie Grill, the veteran, is on the move. He's passing the youth, the 16-year-old of Brown, losing a spot to Augie Grill.
Grill got a little bit more track time than he thought. Look at Brown trying to cross him under as they go to turn 1, but Grill slams the door shut, and Honeycutt does the same, kicking Dixon up to the third lane to cost him a spot to Jake Finch.
Some really fast race cars, and Dixon up there with them, trying to maintain right now. Christensen maybe not qualifying as well as he would have hoped in the 45, was deeper in the top 10, but he has a really fast race car as we're back to the top 2 and 3.
Car lane separation between the two that were separated by about inches at the conclusion of the first lap. Capello, Craig, then Grill, who rides third, Brown fourth. As things start to settle out amongst the front 5, we drop back to check in on Derek Thorne. He's trying to work his way further up the top 10. He started back in about the 14th spot, did that of Thorne, and he's already gained several spots. That's a pass for 9th on Cole Williams.
You know he's going to have a good race car. Was a little bit off on qualifying speed, and not only the Flake but also the Derby, where he will start 7th tomorrow in the 57th running of the event. Christensen running in 8th, Thorne running in 9th, both trying to move to the front.
Christensen, someone who has already run a couple of races here at Flags Speedway in 2024. Two-time winner here, one of which came in the Allen Turner Pro Late Models in the regular season, one with the Roger Stabs Performance Pro Late Model Challenge. Battle for the lead in 3.
Craig to the bottom, makes the move, lead change coming to the completion of lap 9. Out front, Concord, North Carolina driver Matt Craig.
Craig, one of many drivers in the field pulling double duty, and he's off to a very strong start. We'll be coming around to complete our 10th lap of 100, and Matt Craig has gone to the point over pole sitter Dylan Capello with Augie Grill trying to reel in the top 2 early.
Craig has started just 2 of these races. Tonight, his 3rd Snowflake. His best finish coming in 2020, where he was 5th. He's been so good in pro late model races over the years. Just hasn't made a lot of starts in the pro late here in Pensacola.
And since getting the lead, Craig is trying to open up a bit of an advantage as Derek Thorne is all over the backside of Seth Christensen for 8, trying to continue his march forward. Look at Christensen up off the bottom. Thorne's trying to pounce. He ducks to the inside at the entrance of turn 3. Caught the apron a little bit, but never mind. And look at Thorne now with his hands full off 4.
Thorne makes the move, picks up the spot. Move Derek Thorne, the Californian, up to the 8th position. He's one of 11 drivers who have made both races this weekend. 11 double-duty competitors for tonight and tomorrow. 2 drivers did not that attempted, Augie Grill and Cancilla.
Thorne now up into that 8th spot. He will set his sights on Zach Dixon, who's a little bit further up the road. And since losing the lead, Capello has not allowed Matt Craig to break out too far ahead just yet. It's been about this margin, a little over 0.2 of a second. In fact, the front 4 and pretty much gapped Caden Honeycutt just a bit, with Carson Brown trailing up this foursome. Now Honeycutt under fire from Jake Finch.
Jake Finch said he had a better car than he qualified. He's currently in 6th. He's looking to move to 5th. He has now picked up the number 5 position. He started this race just 1 spot back, and now he starts his move to the front. Action up front tightening up as well as Craig, Capello, Grill, the veteran. In 3rd spot, Augie Grill looks to be one of the fast cars here early. Veteran like Augie Grill, you would think sometimes would like to pace. He knows how hard to run these tires, so he has a good car at the end, but right now he's going strong at it.
We've touched on the story with Augie Grill several times throughout our broadcast and our week, and the 3-time Snowflake 100 winner revealed last June that he was diagnosed with a form of cancer. He had to undergo some pretty grueling treatments, and he's been very open and vocal about the journey and the process, but he's returned back to where he calls home, the cockpit of his race car. Almost had a chance to race his way into what would have been an unplanned start in the Snowball Derby tomorrow, but after coming up a couple of spots shy, his sole focus and attention is to hopefully capture his 4th Snowflake 100 win, and he's holding off the reigning track champion right now for 3rd.
A couple of our drivers, we were waiting to see if they had moved through the field. The veterans, Bubba Pollard and Stephen Nasse. Pollard still in 36. Nasse is moving forward. Stephen Nasse is now in 15th from back in the 24th starting position as we go on board one of our rides.
You heard the spotter mention he's got some room, about 5 back from anybody trying to apply some pressure. And in a conversation that I've had with Travis Braden about the benefit of information that spotters could provide, sometimes telling you you've got breathing room, it allows the drivers to experiment a little bit as we see the back end of the 43 of Grill start to shimmy and shake a little bit on corner exit.
Left side of the screen, 3rd place Augie Grill, 4th place Carson Brown. Brown all of a sudden, after Grill got by him earlier, looks like he wants it back. The youth of Brown in the Campy machine, fast right now for the 3rd spot.
Grill's car just looks a little bit unsettled, especially coming off of turn number 2 and turn number 4. Now Brown with a bobble right as he closes up almost to the back bumper of Grill. Everybody starting to skate a little bit as they apply a little more pressure, getting closer to the quarter distance mark of this race.
Nose to tail, they go after the 3rd spot, final podium position. Meanwhile, the top 2 out front, Matt Craig and Dylan Capello. The battle heating up for the number 3 position.
And while we continue to watch this fight, one driver still charging up through the field, Derek Thorne. He's up to 6th while the battle for 3rd spot comes together again off of turn number 2, a car length separation. Look at Brown, and you can start to see the brake rotors glowing a little bit on the left front of that Anthony Campy 81. And also you're starting to see Jake Finch arrive on the scene. I think that 81 car is going to want to go.
We know that Carson Brown does, and now he has the opportunity up to the wheel, to the door, side by side in the corner, both giving each other plenty of room to race. Carson Brown for the number 3 position has it at the line, 25 laps in.
A lot of respect shown. Look at Grill trying to slide down behind Brown to not allow Finch the chance to get a fender inside, but Finch has got to run in 3.
Just stuck his nose in there, was patient. Now he makes some contact, and around goes Grill. Augie Grill with a contact from Jake Finch. Not exactly what Finch wanted to happen, and especially not what the 43 of Grill wanted to happen right there this early in the race. 26 laps down.
First caution of the race comes right at the quarter distance mark, and it is Augie Grill in a battle for 4th place gone bad, and somehow he kept the car off the inside wall, and the rest of the field was able to avoid that car as Grill is trying to right the machine so he could rejoin the tail end of the pack as he continues to try to find some real estate to turn that car around.
Grill was starting to backpedal a little bit. Brown had just passed him within the last lap. Finch was starting to challenge. Dropped to the inside, just barely had his nose to the inside. Grill closed the door, and then Finch went back after it.
Finch essentially got back into the gas where he had been and got right into that left rear quarter panel of Augie Grill to send him around. Great job by Derek Thorne and company, and you can see the Phoenix Construction logo on the hood of that 18 car buckle as he got to, I wouldn't say all the way up to the fuel cell of that 43, but he got into it far enough to send that car around quickly. And fortunately for Grill, no major damage. Bubba Pollard back into the pit area. Time for a Joe's Racing Products update from Bob Dillner.
I just spoke to this team, and Bubba Pollard not happy with this race car right now. Just so tight. The car won't turn in the center of the corner, so they figured, hey, we can't even pass for last right now. Might as well bring the car in and make some more adjustments. Remember, they brought the car in prior to the green flag to make some adjustments, and they lost their starting spot, which wasn't too bad for Bubba. But right now, this car is not making any progress right now through the field. So they're checking the stagger on the rear tires of this machine and also making a suspension change on the right rear to help this car turn a little bit better in the center of the corner. So we'll see if it works out for Bubba Pollard.
Thanks, Bob, and the work continues. Also coming down to the pit lane, Casey Roderick in a 62 car, the Blizzard Series champion here at Five Flags, coming to the attention of his crew with our first caution out in this race with 25 laps complete. And the word has come down from the officials that by virtue of the contact in turns 3 and 4, Jake Finch is going to be sent to the rear.
Deemed more than just a racing incident, making the contact from the rear end of the car, and just a little impatience there, probably more than anything, from Jake Finch, who had such a great race car. It's early in the race, 75 laps to go. He can rally and come through the field with a car that good, but you take a chance to get caught up in an accident. You really put yourself behind the 8 ball. He had a car and a position. He was going for 4th at the time, capable of winning. It'll be tough to get back up there in the top 5 even at this point.
He'll be back there with the car that the contact was made with, and Augie Grill, who's going to be overtaking him here in a short while as several cars continue to take advantage of the pit lane being open for this first caution, the Snowflake 100, including that of Jared Butcher, as they continue to do work on this call. For an update on Butcher, another Joe's Racing Products update for Bob.
Way too free is the report from his brother Cole Butcher on Jarrett Butcher's machine. So they figured it's early in the race. It's not going to get any better for him, so might as well bring it in and make some adjustments. They lifted the hood. They made some changes on the right front suspension on this race car, hoping to get it tightened up just a little bit so that Jarrett Butcher can make his way through the field.
Thanks, Bob. And while we have mentioned several drivers who have come down for adjustments, like Luke Baldwin, like Chase Pinsino, Adam, you were pointing out one car and one driver that has been working his way up through the pack fast.
Well, we talked about Derek Thorne getting up into the 6th spot before that yellow flag. It's going to be a couple positions further now with Grill and Finch. Stephen Nasse started this race in 24th. We know he doesn't qualify very well. He admits to that. Well, he's going to be in 10th place when we restart. So in 25 laps, he's picked up 14 spots. That's pretty impressive. He finished up in the top 3 last year in this race, and I think he's got a car that could do just the same here tonight.
And by virtue of the spin by Grill, the penalty to that of Jake Finch, Derek Thorne is now going to move up into 4th by the time we get set to re-rack this field to get this race back underway. Let's get a Joe's Racing Products update from Jim Trado.
George Phillips came down. Jamie Yelton and the team said, you know what? If you don't like how that car's running, let's change right rear shock and spring. So as much as we did not anticipate pit stops for tires, these guys are making serious adjustments on pit road. The most recent, Augie Grill now down on pit road. They're looking at the rear end, checking the stagger. Colin Allman did the same, getting that car in the air in the rear to check things over, make a shock adjustment, send it back out.
Not the traditional updates that we would think about, making a change that massive, but that's what some of these teams are swinging for. And with 3/4 of this race still to go, a lot could happen. I think there's still some opportunity up there, especially if things start to get a little bit crazy.
Hey, when you're running at the back of the field like we've had Bubba Pollard and others, you might as well come in the pits and take a swing at it as we send it back to Bob.
Casey Roderick came down pit road to make an adjustment as well. I spoke to his crew chief, Doug Stevens, and he said Casey's just been talking about no side bite whatsoever. So again, there's nothing to lose for him. Remember, this is one of those brand new Fury machines, so they're just trying to dial it in. This race is like an R&D session for them. They're just hoping to hit it right. So they made some adjustments to see if they can get that side bite back for Casey Roderick.
Thanks, Bob. And look at some of the cars that are at the tail end of the field after coming down for service. Of course, you've got Augie Grill and Jake Finch. Bubba Pollard fresh off the pit lane. Luke Baldwin is back there as well. Many heavy hitters that I believe were handicapped with an opportunity to be contenders and threats for this win. This Vantage Point presented by Flow Racing on board with Bubba Pollard. This is going to be fun to watch as he tries to weave his way up through traffic with 75 laps to go.
We'll see if the changes they made during that pit stop did anything. With 25 laps into this race, he was still running dead last, 36th position. So Pollard has made the major change. See if he's able to make through the field, make some headway, get this car a little bit better. Remember, they didn't spend a lot of time testing and fine-tuning the Prolate model. All focus was on the Super here this week.
And with all 36 cars that started this race still running, there were a couple of adjustments being made to the back end of the field, especially with the cars that stopped and with the penalty that was levied to that of Jake Finch, as we are now 1 lap away from getting this race back underway. We'll call it a bit of a first quarter being in the books. We'll give the nod there to Matthew Craig, but there are a lot of very fast cars working their way further forward.
Carson Brown in the 81, Derek Thorne in the 16, the two to keep an eye on right now. A little further back, Stephen Nasse in the 51. Those are the ones to focus on at this point. They're the ones coming toward the front. Craig and Capello will have their hands full trying to keep some of those fast cars that qualify deeper in the field at bay as we're back to green in Pensacola.
Yep. Still out there, outside even.
And Craig was ready to go. He is clear and gone to the lead. Capello trying to hold on to second. Look at Carson Brown getting that car up off the bottom. Nearly gets into the left rear. They do touch off the corner. Thorne looking 3 wide on the front stretch.
And Thorne, the veteran, backed out of it. Carson Brown ended up giving him room. We're still 3 wide coming off the corner. How long can this work?
More
About
contact. Somehow Capello and Brown hold on to the car, but they're not done bouncing off each other yet, all 4.
Beating and banging in the first quarter of this race. Now just moving into the second quarter of this race. Brown will eventually clear the 11 of Capello. He's going to get caught in the outside lane. Zach Dixon back on his way to the front in the 67, going for 4th.
Dixon also trying to keep his car down low. He slides wide a little bit with Seth Christensen in the 45, chasing him from behind. Brown clear of the bumper tag after Derek Thorne was able to take advantage of the contact between Brown and Capello to move up to second, with Brown trying to chase him down.
You see the veteran Derek Thorne elect to back off on the front stretch and not go 3 wide into 1, but Brown thought he was still going to be there, so he took his car high into turn 1. That opened up for the 3 wide again. Somehow they did not crash their race cars. 30 laps in at the line this time with Matt Craig leading the charge.
And look who's entered the top 10, Stephen Nasse. In fact, he's done one better. He's up to 9th, chasing down Spencer Davis and Cole Williams in the 46, just up the road of the 51.
You put Stephen Nasse's car in race trim and him in that car during a race and it goes forward. It's almost a mental thing for qualifying, I think, sometimes for him, because he just does not qualify well, but he can wheel it during the race, and he's all over a fellow veteran who came back to make his return to the flake in Spencer Davis.
Nasse trying to get up in the 8th spot around Spencer Davis. Let's get a Joe's Racing Products update on the 51 from Dillner.
I spoke to Stephen Nasse just prior to the race, and he said, listen, qualifying's one thing. I'm just not a qualifier, as you know, right now everybody has alluded to, but at the same time, he felt like he had a really good long run race car. And when Stephen Nasse gets into that mode, that race mode, he gets to be a little bit nasty behind the wheel of that race car. So we expect him to be really tough, and he'll save his stuff if he has to ride for a little while. That's what we talked a little bit about today. So don't expect him to charge right to the front unless there is an opportunity right in front of him.
And Adam, we talked about how much it would mean for drivers like Stephen Nasse and Bubba Pollard to go to victory lane here tomorrow, but Nasse has admitted several times that having the one get away from him in 2020 in terms of the Snowflake 100, that one still bothers him to this day, so much so that they kept this car on jack stands for quite a while to save it for tonight. He's got a hot rod, and he's still trying to work his way up the running order.
And of course, the further toward the front you get, the faster the cars and competition gets, and he's being patient with Spencer Davis right now. His car definitely a little bit better, rotating better. Davis sees him to the bottom. His spotter says Stephen looking low, and he's going to make the pass. 8th position has changed hands.
And that is a sign of mutual respect between those two. There was a lot of breathing room between the sides of both cars as Davis concedes the spot to Nasse, who is up into the 8th position and beginning to chase down Cole Williams in the 46.
Matt Craig holding the advantage out front by 3/4 of a second over Derek Thorne. Carson Brown, he's right there for that number 2 position. Won't be long, and I think he'll be trying to pounce on Derek Thorne. But how about the charge that Derek Thorne made from his starting spot of 14th up to 2nd, less than halfway into this event?
And Thorne is someone who all throughout this weekend has been a student of the sport, if you will. Not every time that he was not on the racetrack, as he gets a little loose coming off 4 in this second spot, he was watching the practice sessions. He was watching qualifying. He would never really take a break from what was happening on the speedway. He'd either be out there himself or would be watching the competition. He's putting all of that knowledge to use right now, as now we see Nassi picking off Williams to get another spot.
Continues to move forward, the Pinellas Park, Florida driver, who will be starting 30th in the Derby tomorrow, trying to win his first Snowflake race. 17.8 at the line that time. Now, a couple of drivers in the top 5 were in the 17.7s and 17.6s. They were Carson Brown and Dylan Capello in 3rd and 4th, the 2 fastest cars in the top 10 that time by.
And Carson Brown has started to turn up the heat here on Derek Thorne for second spot. Clear of these two is Matthew Craig, the race leader. Thorne, since getting up to this second position, has pretty much been biding his time, with Brown now starting to apply some pressure. Capello 4th, and Zach Dixon having a great night so far as we inch closer to the halfway point, rounding out your top 5.
Dixon fell back a little bit over the first few laps, and then he got into a rhythm, and the car came to him as we go back on board right side of Carson Brown's ride in that 3rd position as he's caught Thorne for 2nd.
This vantage point shows you some of the differences, with Brown washing up a little bit higher. One thing that is about to become a factor, the tail end of the field. Look, that's not just the leader, Matt Craig, 2 cars up the road. Craig has caught the tail end of the pack, and they are going to begin to work their way through some traffic, as Craig is now to the inside of one of the rookies to this race, and Vito Cancella to put him a lap down.
Cancella at the tail end of the lead lap no more, is down a lap. Bubba Pollard has not moved through the field despite the pit stop and some changes as well. Craig to the bottom side to put Bubba Pollard a lap down to the Snowflake 100.
Let's check in with Bob Dillner.
Well, Matt Craig and I spoke a lot throughout this weekend. He said, you know what, we're really not worried about the Pro. Well, guess what? It looks pretty good for not worrying about that race car. In fact, he told us...
Oh, trouble. Sorry, Bob. Carson Brown spins, just like we saw Augie Grill get tagged off of turn number 4.
Derek Thorne with the contact on Carson Brown.
And you hear the radio communication from the 81 as that car noses towards the inside wall. And at the same time, Bubba Pollard was bringing his car down the pit lane under green.
Bubba Pollard had just gone a lap down. He knows he doesn't have the car to compete. Frustrating day for him, but it's...
We were passing a lap car. We were 3 wide with a lap car, and then he just drove through it.
And you hear the vantage point of the Anthony Campy racing team as we look at the driver try to right the machine and get back out there. And that incident looked very similar to what happened between Derek Thorne and Augie Grill to draw the first caution with 25 laps in the books.
Unreal. Not really what we expected to see from Derek Thorne after being passed by Carson Brown.
And similarly to what happened to Augie Grill, because of the fact this field essentially wrapped the whole half-mile oval, Carson's trying to find a safe spot to get the car turned around. Hard to believe that both cautions that we've had tonight have occurred inside the top 5. They've both been single-car spins. Here's Thorne back to the gas. And, I mean, he got way up under that back bumper to send him sideways.
You know, and Carson Brown, clearly quicker, had caught him and made the pass. Both will be going to the tail. And things falling into place for a couple of guys coming through the field, namely Stephen Nassi, with some of these fast guys taking each other out.
They were going past Bubba Pollard, who elected to drop down to the inside of the racetrack. Pollard was about to be the next car to go a lap off the leaders. This was a few laps ago. Here's Brown to the inside of Thorne, and that may be the reason why Derek was not too kind to the 81 once he made this pass.
Makes a little more sense now. Retaliation factor, perhaps, because it is pretty early in the race.
As we see the 16 car begin to drop to the rear, just like what we saw with Jake Finch. Let's get a Joe's Racing Products update from Jim Trado.
I'm in the pit for the 16 car, Derek Thorne. He does not appear to be coming in, but Bob Dillner, Carson Brown's heading your way.
We're waiting for Carson Brown down here. Anthony Campy calling out the shots on the radio right now. This team is prepared to do anything they can to make sure that the car is okay. It's a long way down pit road here, but they bring the Pay Cafe number 81 to a stop here on pit road. They are going to take a look at that right front fender, make sure that it has no damage. A lot of times when these cars spin, you can see some damage on the right front there where Carson Brown actually made contact with another competitor right there. So Anthony Campy actually working on that, pulling the fender out a little bit, making an adjustment on that fender to make sure that it doesn't rub up against the right front tire. Other team members at the back end of this car, checking the tire stagger, making sure nothing else is actually bent or broken on this machine. Sometimes you can actually turn around that race car and wind up pushing a body panel up against a tire or something like that, but it looks A-okay for Carson Brown. He's gonna head back out in the racetrack after fixing that front fender brace.
On pit road is the number 7 New York of Luke Baldwin. I talked to his father, Tommy Baldwin. They already made a pit stop. I said, what'd you do that time, Tommy? He said, the right rear track bar, man. We had to get that car tighter. It was way too free. This time they came to pit road under caution, and they pulled the left rear tire, put a half of spring rubber in the left rear spring, and are putting the same left rear back on. So getting this young 18-year-old experience, they want their car to handle right. He was about to get lapped, so this is kind of a blessing for them. Take another big swing to get this car back up forward.
Also on the pit lane, you see George Phillips receiving attention from his crew. As ironically, the first caution came a quarter of the way through. This yellow comes about 5 laps shy of halfway. And Adam, we mentioned earlier, the plan was to have a competition caution if we ran 50 consecutive laps, but not inside of what would have been the final 10. So this yellow with 55 to go would put us in that window. So every caution from this point forward is going to happen the old-fashioned way.
Working on the dock of Pensacola Beach 16 of Derek Thorne. I knew when I saw Thorne make the contact with the 81 of Brown, it didn't seem like something that would happen normally. It was a little retaliation factor to go back to Jim.
Yeah, when Derek Thorne was slowly making his way on the apron for letting the field go past, I thought, okay, that's what he's going to be. But no, they decided to come to pit road. This Jet Motorsports team is making a right rear shock adjustment. They got the shock wrench out. So they're talking to Derek Thorne, and I tell you, he can dissect the corner by 6 feet at a crack. This guy's really specific on what he wants in the car. Right rear shock adjustment for Derek Thorne because he has to start in the back anyway.
And Adam, we were talking to Elgin Trailer. He pointed out the fact that one of the cars that got sent to the rear for the first caution less than 25 laps ago, in fact 20 laps ago, was that of Jake Finch. He's already worked his way through almost half the field. He was up to 20th at the time of the yellow.
Now he'll be restarting in 18th with those two cars dropping to the tail. Bubba Pollard has called it a day for his Pro Late model. They need a little more time with the car, I think, to get it dialed in. He just got on track yesterday for a short time. They loaded it up, worked on the Super, and it wasn't quite enough as the Pro Late model wasn't good today for Bubba Pollard. They made a couple of big adjustments, did not pay off. His focus on tomorrow's Snowball Derby, where he's had a pretty good Super Late model all week.
Field's doubled up, but we are still a couple laps away at least from the restart. Let's check in with a Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Bob Dillner.
Just wanted to give you a note that's still high emotions down here in the 81 pit. Anthony Campy, the team owner, Derek Thorne, drove his car by this pit, and then all of a sudden Anthony Campy just put his hands up in front of Derek Thorne, still not happy for Carson Brown and this team.
They're not going to be that far apart one another once they get this restart, with Thorne being relegated to the back and electing to pit. The same for the 81 of Carson Brown, as we see Vito Cancilla getting a push back towards the pit lane. And with the safety truck still being on the racetrack, this restart is going to be waved off at least one more lap, with Cancilla going back to the pit area, that car refusing to fire.
We've seen some impatience among our top 5 competitors being this early in the race with still 55 laps to go. I think Derek Thorne felt that Carson Brown roughed him up a little bit while passing him down in turn 1, so he kind of returned the favor down in 3 and 4. Earlier it was Jake Finch with just a little bit of impatience, I think, in making the contact with Augie Grill, whose car wasn't as good in the middle of the corner. Finch able to get in the gas earlier. The caution lights are out. The Allen Turner pace car will be heading pit side as we get ready for a restart.
Matt Craig in his 3rd Snowflake 100 start, trying to better the 5th place effort he had back here in 2020. He was a few spots shy of a top 10 in 2023. He leads the field back down to green with 55 laps to go in the Snowflake 100.
Oh, the beautiful shot sitting down on the wall and seeing how close they get to that inside retaining wall. There's Nassi ready to make a move on Christensen. Highest he's been in the race. He's 5th, looking for 4th up front. Capello peeked to the inside for the lead. Dixon up there in the 3rd spot, having a great run to 67K.
Dixon has been a constant, but he gets loose off the corner. That's going to check up Christensen. Nassi plugged to the inside of the 45 for 4th spot. They almost come together off the corner. Nassi up in a P4, trying to get Dixon as Cole Williams slams the door behind him on Michael Hind.
We literally have 34 cars still on the racetrack. You do not want to take a chance to make contact in the top 5 to send you to the back. It's going to be too late in this race to recover from being at the back of the field as we're closing on halfway.
So Nassi to 4th, behind Dixon, Capello, Craig just ahead of him. Dixon trying to keep that car on the bottom, but again, he pushes up wide off turn 2. Nassi to the inside for 3rd.
Nassi making quick work of his Snowflake. 100 competitors. He's been helped out a little bit by the spins that have taken place in the top 5, and he's taking advantage. He finished 3rd last year, and he's up to the 3rd spot with half a race to go from position 24 starting position.
Now it's on Christensen to try to see if he can work over Zach Dixon as they come to the cross flags this time by. We are halfway through the 2024 running of the Snowflake 100. Matt Craig has been the dominant car. Here comes Christian with a run.
Christensen to the inside of Zach Dixon. 4th spot up for grabs. Dixon's had a great race so far. He might get shuffled back a spot or 2 as Spencer Davis, though he was wrestling his car a little bit behind these 2. He's starting to rally as well.
Now Davis trying to make sure that that door stays open for him to walk on through for the owner's champ on the car's door in 2024. Davis is going to make the pass on Dixon, who starts to fade a little bit. For more on the 67 car, let's go to Bob.
And listen, this is what Zach Dixon told us he was going to do. He said he does not want to wreck this car. His main goal, put that car on the hauler safe and sound, not a scratch on it. So he was going to race a little bit like Mark Martin is what he was telling us, and just try to finish this race as well as he could, but he was not going to push the limit.
And that makes sense. What we saw early in the race when the green came out, he kind of faded back a few spots, and then he got into a groove. He took advantage of a few cars going to the back, and he's still up there racing in the 6th position, and he's strong right now in the 67K. He's being cautious. He's got a good race car. He'd like to finish up there in the top 5, and he might just do it if he takes care of his equipment.
Back up front, Dylan Capello keeping Matt Craig honest for the race lead. Craig starting to wash up just a little bit in the middle of the corner. Capello keeping a tighter radius on corner exit with Steven Nassi within a second now of the top 2. He's 0.8 of a second behind and starting to reel in the front runners. Last time around, these 3 pretty evenly paced, but all within close proximity of one another.
17.6s for the top 3 as the field slows for a big accident for Silas Ripley, our first big hit of the race. Ripley making this one, able to drive away, backing it into the wall. All 4 tires, I believe, still up, but that's going to have to come to his attention to his crew, because the 25, the Grinch, stealing the Snowflake 100 from Silas Ripley.
Ripley, who had to race his way in by virtue of the last chance event, driving one of the Rackley War entries here in the mainly concrete number 25, and he has crinkled up the right rear of that race car pretty significantly after catching the concrete up in turns 1 and 2. Take a look at what happened down on the bottom of your screen. That's Carson Brown to the inside, and he caught that inside wall and came back up, and that sent Ripley up into the outside retaining wall.
Ripley just didn't give him any room. He got to the inside, they went into the corner, and just nowhere to go as he kept coming down on Carson Brown. Racing deal. Ripley might not have known he was there, but Carson Brown was down against the concrete, not really anywhere to go for the 81.
Silas Ripley has come to the attention of his crew. A Joe's Racing product pit reporter Jim Trado is there.
Getting the fender and the rear bumper cover away from the right rear tire is priority 1. This body is wiggling, meaning that it's off its balance. The bracketing has been torn away or broken off the entire rear assembly of this 5-star body. It is just sitting free, so they're going to have to do a lot of work. That Grinch is going to have a whole lot of Bondo on it, I should say bare bond on it, as they're going to get the tape out next to try to get this body back together to get their young driver, this teenager, back on the racetrack.
Ripley called this opportunity to drive for this race team a dream come true after a stellar performance in the Oxford 250, up a little bit closer to his home in Warren, Maine. But his Snowflake 100 debut may come to a premature end, although that team is trying to see if they can keep him out there and on the lead lap should this race get even more wild than it's already been.
Last time by the line for Silas Ripley was running in 25th. Carson Brown had found that opening to the inside and raced for real estate in that bottom lane, and Brown already had found it. They'll get it back together. They think the wheels are pointed in the right direction. He was able to drive it off, and he's got 45 laps to try to make something of the end of this Snowflake 100. It's going to heat up at the front of the field, Eric. You're about to have some fun. Matt Craig leading the way. Dylan Capello's got a strong race car. He's been good all week long. Stephen Nasse wasn't good in qualifying trim. Well, guess what? Like always, good in race trim, and he was just as quick as the top two.
Nasse has been on a flyer after starting this race in 24th spot and has done nothing but rip up through the field. The field is being stopped over on the back straightaway for a bit of a cleanup effort that's going to be taking place. And the word that we are receiving from officials is that this may be an issue with the track surface, potentially over in turn number 3.
So they're going to work on a spot on the track surface that they need to take care of. 45 laps to go under red flag conditions. Matt Craig leading the way, Capello, Nasse, Christensen, and Spencer Davis, the top 5. Davis really looked to be driving the car pretty hard in the 5th spot, sliding off of the corners, so I'm not sure how long his car will hold up toward the end.
So, a little bit of a halfway break, we'll call it. Attention being paid at turn number 3. We'll be back to continue on with what's been a wild Snowflake 100 right after this. Back at the Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida. Race fans, if you are looking for the perfect holiday gift for the race fan in your life, don't miss all the holiday deals and the biggest sales of the year now at racingelectronics.com. It's racingelectronics.com. With a Racing Electronics scanner and headphones, you'll hear uncensored communication from every team in the race or tune into the live radio broadcast. You can add the ability to talk to your friends over the roar of the engines with a set of Intercom RE headsets, and gift cards are always a popular choice. The holly jolly deals won't last forever. Head on over to racingelectronics.com today, racingelectronics.com. And with Christmas right around the corner, that's one of the best things to do to plan for your 2025 visit to the Snowball Derby, as we are under red flag conditions with Matthew Craig out in front. And we're going to toss it down now to our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Bob Dillner, for more as to why the cars are stopped on the back straightaway.
Well, a lot of people wondering what's going on, and a lot of the drivers have radioed into their teams talking about a hole basically on the backstretch. There is also a part of the track that has come up in turn number 1 as well. And listen, this is something that is part of the character of Flags Speedway, this half-mile speed plant. For years, teams have told Tim Bryant and his staff here at Flags Speedway, do not pave this racetrack. It's got character. It allows us to have some great racing and go side by side. They actually ground the track several years ago, and it helps smooth the racing surface. Well, this hole here in turn number 1, you can see there's really nothing coming up around it right now, and the cars will go over it pretty quickly, so it's not like the cars are going to actually dip in the hole. But on the backstretch, they're taking a look at another portion of the racetrack, and this, Adam Mackey, is part of the character of this racetrack. It's got tons of patches overnight, and many times here during Snowball Derby weekend, we have seen Tim and his staff go out overnight from Saturday to Sunday to put some patches on this racing surface to make sure it is ready to go for 300 laps on Sunday, and it does a great job holding throughout that entire distance on the Sunday. But this is not uncommon for Flags Speedway, but is part of the charisma, the character, and what makes Flags Speedway special.
Bob is right. You know, this track hasn't been paved in many, many years, and they get away with that because it's in warmer conditions. That said, it obviously has a lot of character. It's got some cracks. Every once in a while, a small piece of asphalt will work its way out, especially with the cars down on the racetrack like they do and bottoming out through the turns and those setups that they have with the car's current day. Most of the time, they are not having red flags. I don't remember many red flags during the course of a race to repair the track. If at all, repairs normally take place, as Bob mentioned, during the overnight hours or early morning to get them ready for the next day. So they're going to make a repair here, make a repair in 1, make a repair in 3, and we'll be ready to go back to action. But how about this race so far? Great action, a lot of drama in our top 5. Stephen Nasse coming through the field. Derek Thorne, he came through the field before the mishap with Carson Brown. So we've seen a lot of passing in this race. And I think a lot of that passing can be credited to the fact that this track is old and this track has character. We repave it, it's going to be extremely fast. At some point, it may have to happen. But it will take away some of the passing. It will be a little bit fast, and the character of it could be a little definitely changed.
Well, while we continue to await the repairs to be concluded, let's go back down to our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Bob Dillner.
Well, you guys have been talking about Stephen Nasse, and he is a hard charger in this race. Jeff Nasse is his dad, the crew chief, the guy that's been taking care of this Pro Late model. He's given you all sorts of kudos this weekend. Jeff, what is Stephen saying about the race car?
He said it's been pretty good so far. He's made up a lot of ground and trying to still conserve some tires, you know, for the end here, but hopefully we have something for the 54.
I want to know, you know, trying to work his way up through the field. You can burn out those tires. Has he said that he thinks he's got still a lot for the end of this race?
He said he still thinks he's got enough to make a shot at it anyway, so we'll see what happens here.
We'll see what happens. Jeff Nasse, very proud of his son here at Flags Speedway. Jim Trado.
When Silas brought his car down pit road, we talked about the Grinch getting all that tape covered up on the rear quarter panel. Well, what we did not notice initially was the grill opening underneath the CHEV of his Chevrolet across the front valance. That screen area was punctured in like something went through. They did not leak any water, didn't get to the radiator, but something went through that screen. So if that track came apart, no idea if it caused what happened to Silas and the issue on the racetrack, but this driver is sitting on pit road, and I happen to see they're addressing that now. That screen got pushed in a good 3-4 inches, guys.
Thanks, gentlemen, and the work is able to continue with the red flag conditions right now, but attention still able to be paid to the competitors who've had some misfortune to start this race with still 45 laps to go in the Snowflake 100, and this caution may be a bit of a saving grace for some teams that are still in a bit of damage control, quite literally like that of Silas Ripley.
Really cool Whoville paint scheme for the Grinch. Patch repairs expected to take between 10 and 20 minutes as they have left the scene where they've made the repair in turn number 3.
While we have a moment, I want to take an opportunity here. We've been following along a lot of the social media response to our coverage of the Snowball Derby. It's an immense honor for me to be here personally, but I want to take a chance to shout out the incredible crew that we have, and we have an army with us. We have several producers who are on our staff, and Tiffany Swisher, Dan Parisi, Robbie Johnston, Kyler Hope, Matt Smith. Our camera operators, Landon Summers, Jeff Converse, John Seals, Jesse Cochran, Connor Sullivan, Daryl Canfield, and Steve Green. The drone that you see right now, courtesy of Will Fulford, and also our Broadcast 1 and Broadcast 2, and Dan Just and Kyle Pucci. Elgin Trailer is up here with us as well, and we also have our 3G wireless operators and Kyle Reichert, Bobby Hampton, and Jack Hand, and there are so many more people behind the scenes to allow us the chance to bring you the sights and sounds and a lot of unique perspectives to this incredible race. Adam, this has been a thrill of a lifetime for me, and I can't wait to see all the tricks that we got up our sleeve for tomorrow as well.
Absolutely. The coverage this week from practice through qualifying, through the local divisions, and through the features now over the first half of this race has been outstanding. A big thanks to everyone putting all their efforts in for this.
So far, been an up and down day for the 81 of Carson Brown. The car owner for that machine is standing by with Bob.
Anthony Campy is that car owner. Carson Brown involved in a couple of skirmishes. You came down pit road once. You did not come down after the last one. Any concerns with this race car?
Yeah, I mean, it's a little beat up right now. It's just a shame because Carson's been doing good all weekend. I mean, he was just kind of biding his time there. Cars were falling off. We had passed Thorne for second, about as clean as you can. And I just don't understand how, you know, these guys want these young kids to come through and race them clean. And, I mean, that's about as textbook as it gets. And he boots them like he's never drove a race car before. So, I mean, it's a shame because now we're behind the 8 ball, coming up through. Guy chops our nose. You know, it's just kind of collateral damage at this point. But we'll keep digging and see what we can make of it.
What does he say about the car? Does he have enough to charge to the front?
Yeah, I mean, I think the index on the steering wheel is a little off. I mean, we pitted. It didn't seem bad, but this last one, he drug the right front off and then hit the inside wall here. But, you know, he won't give up on us. But it's just a shame because, I mean, I think we were right there just taking our time.
Tough break for Anthony Campy. Carson Brown and this 81 team, they do have some damage on that race car.
Thanks, Bob. And the irony here is if you haven't been to Flags Speedway, number one, you got to come out next year for the 2025 running or just one of their regular competitions they run here on a weekly basis. The public address announcing system here is very clean and crystal clear. The entire team of that 16 was able to hear that interview with Anthony Campy loud and clear, and I wouldn't rule out the fact that Derek Thorne, wherever his car is parked under the red flag, also was hearing those words, and maybe additional conversations will be had towards the end of the night as the track crew continues to work on the circumstances down in turn number 1. Red flag remains out with 45 laps to go. Matt Craig is the leader. We'll be back for what will hopefully be the resumption of the 2024 Snowflake 100 at Five Flags. Under the red flag with 45 laps to go in the 2024 running of the Snowflake 100, part of the 57th annual Snowball Derby presented by Flow Sports here at the Flags Speedway in Pensacola, Florida, with Matt Craig out in front of the field in what has been a thrilling start to this race with a lot of wild circumstances, a lot of contact up towards the front, and a lot of drivers already a little hot under the collar.
We're just a couple of minutes away, I've heard, from getting these cars refired and ready to go as we take a look at the pass for the lead from Matt Craig.
Craig got the lead relatively early from pole sitter Dylan Capello. Here's the first bit of contact. This was up in the top 5. Augie Grill tagged by Jake Finch, spins off turn 4. No major contact. Second burst, same as the first, just 2 different cars. That's Carson Brown getting tagged by Derek Thorne, and that wasn't it for Brown as he got squeezed into the fence by Silas Ripley, who then backed into the wall.
There's the repairs going on to the Ripley machine for the 15-year-old to get a chance to get back out and turn some more laps. Cars starting to roll on the back straightaway to take formation and get this one back underway as repairs have been made. 55 laps in, 45 laps remain in the Allen Turner Snowflake 100, and I think plenty of great action still yet to go over these final 45 laps.
I'm not sure if it was necessarily a good thing to give these drivers a little bit of a halftime break to sit and think about how they want to approach or attack the latter portion of this race, but they got it, and we're about to see what the result of that is. And hats off to everybody here at the Flags Speedway. Obviously, they came ready and prepared. That was an exceptionally fast process that took place here on this half-mile oval, and everyone from top to bottom. We were talking about this earlier. My first trip here to the Derby. You've been coming here several times, Adam. The Bryant family, Tim and Randy Bryant, took over this facility towards the end of 2004, and somehow each and every year they keep trying to find ways to make this race better. More fun for the fans, more fun for the viewers at home, and honestly, I'm not sure there's anything more that they can do because this is unbelievable how they're able to execute an event of this scale each and every year.
Starts on Thursday night with great racing. The crowd has come out in support of it as we send it back to our Joe's Racing product pit reporter, Bob Dillner.
Just want to chat about Dylan Capello a little bit. What a great ride for that West Coast racer, now a crew chief in the NASCAR Cup Series with Front Row Motorsports. And a lot of people don't realize how good of a racer Dylan Capello is, a former champion of the Lucas Oil Modified Series out west. But he's run so many different things in this weekend. He has really understood the value of this opportunity that he has here with this team. And he said, man, they have such a good car, such a good group of people, and he's really leading the way on a lot of the decisions for the setup on the car throughout the entire weekend. But Dylan Capello feels and has felt the entire weekend like he has a car that could win this race. He's not an underdog. Dylan Capello is that good of a racer, and that's why he's second place right now.
And he's been keeping Matt Craig honest since giving up that race lead in the early going of this event, with Stephen Nasse diligently working his way up through the pack and riding third, Seth Christensen fourth, and Spencer Davis your top 5. And again, this will be with 45 laps to go. They'll double up this time by, and hopefully we'll be seeing the 1 to go signal after a quick effort down trackside to get this race back underway.
It's been a good one to this point, and I don't think the excitement has come to an end. Just a couple of laps away from restarting this one. Matt Craig has had a good race car. Capello was right there with him, and Stephen Nasse. Those top 3 turning out about identical lap times. They seem like the class of the field, at least from those in our top 10. We're waiting to see if any of those that have had to go to the back, whether it be Derek Thorne or Augie Grill or the 16, can come back through the field. Jake Finch in the 18, those drivers that have had to restart at the tail. It's a long road to go because we haven't had a lot of attrition. Most of the competitors still racing with us late in the going.
And just as we hit the top of the hour here in Pensacola, just striking 8 p.m. Central Time, the 1 to go signal has been given for the Allen Turner Pro Late Model Snowflake 100 resumption. 45 laps will remain. Matt Craig and Dylan Capello going to make up the front row. It's been starting to get increasingly more physical throughout the field, and with several fast cars now relegated to the back, you can bet we're about to kick up the intensity just a little bit more when we come to this green.
Craig and Capello in our front row. Nassi and Christensen in row number 2. Back for the restart. 55 down, 45 to go. They're spinning the tires. A little bit colder conditions now, and they sat there for a while, losing the heat out of the tires. It's going to be Nassi moving into second.
Nassi up into the second spot as Capello tries to keep the fender to the outside after the bobble, and he slips again off turn 2. Nassi to the runner-up spot, maybe. Now Capello gets tagged by Christensen.
Christensen making the contact. Capello nearly spinning.
And we got a car that has stopped on the back straightaway. Hudson Bolger right as the field was coming off of turn number 2 to slow the field again, and a couple of cars having to take evasive action to the inside of the Can-Am number 17.
So Hudson Bolger, driver from Georgia, making his second Snowflake start, has lost power, at least for the time being, on the backstretch.
Bolger out of Fort Valley, Georgia. This was the restart, and right as he was coming up through the gears is where that car started to have a bit of a hiccup. Great job by the rest of the field. Adam, we've heard and been told several times that restarts here with this front straightaway, only 48 feet wide, 55 feet wide in the corners, the width of this racetrack. If things go wrong, it could go wrong in a hurry and be massive. And luckily, a lot of drivers did some heads-up efforts there to avoid that 17 while he was in peril.
Gonna need a push. It almost looked like something was broken or a tire was down on the right front of the car, the way it threw some sparks as he went high into the first corner, but they are going to push it off. For Hudson Bolger, a driver that came from the legend car ranks, spent a lot of time at Cordele Motor Speedway, their home track.
Matt Craig still out in front of the field. Let's get a Joe's Racing Products update from Jim Trado.
Well, Matt Craig is going to have Stephen Nassi to his right outside door, and he was reminded of that on the radio, saying, hey, don't only change up your restart, you got the 51 outside, you have the 11 with you, meaning that he is going to be restarted next to Stephen Nassi. These guys across the Southeast, across the country, know each other very well. How to time the restart, coming through the box, getting through the speed. It's now 2 veterans, 2 heavyweights at the front of this field.
And luckily for us, we still got 44 laps to go. And we've talked a lot about Stephen Nassi and his pursuit of victories on a weekend of this magnitude. And we've aired it a couple of times throughout our on-track coverage. But if you haven't had a chance to catch the long-form interview that he did with Rob Blount in our Drive to the Derby series, he was very candid about some of the mistakes that he made. Also, some of the reasons why he may wear the name either Classy Nassi or Nasty Nassi. It depends on what type of circumstance he may find himself in. But Adam, I think the one constant that we have noticed, even though the speed and pace may vary a little bit, whether it be practice, qualifying, or as we see here in race time, his attitude and his approach to this weekend has been level-headed and composed, and it has brought him up in a race-winning condition with still a little less than half this race to go.
Look, he started 24th. He's up to second. I'm not so sure that he's made contact with any of the cars that he's passed at this point, as he's used his patience to get up there, and he's kept his car clean. And you see the update on the weather, 41 degrees out there. No wind, fortunately for the fans, because if it was windy out there, it would be absolutely frigid. But they're all bundled up in the stands, and they're all packed in there like sardines because it's a great crowd, so they're staying warm with some extra body heat around them.
And if you're coming out here to the racetrack tomorrow, I got a promise for you. It is going to be beautiful. Race scheduled to start 2 p.m. Eastern time, and it is going to be just about touching 70 degrees with the sun expected to be out all across this half-mile oval. It is going to be a beautiful afternoon for a Snowball Derby. Spencer Davis is having a great run. For more, here's Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Bob Dillner.
Well, Spencer Davis has come home here to Flags Speedway. This is an area early in his career that he raced a lot in, both in pro late models and super late models. He'd run in the past couple of years, some modified, some ARCA, that sort of thing. Returned to his roots this year in late model racing. He was battling for the championship in the Cars Tour Pro Late Model Series. But now he's here. This car, he says, is darn good. Right now, he's very happy with that number 29 machine. They believe they have a shot at this Snowflake 100 victory.
And it looks like they do, as he will be restarting outside of the second row alongside pole sitter Dylan Capello, and behind that of Stephen Nasse, who's to the outside of race leader and Matt Craig. Should be seeing the 1 to go signal this time after we were able to knock 1 lap off the counter the last time we restarted this race, wrapping up our 4th caution of the Snowflake 100 tonight.
That last restart was a little bit scary for the front row, which was at the time Matt Craig and Dylan Capello. It's because their tires were cold. They sat on the backstretch during the 20-minute repair, and as they did, everything cooled off, and they didn't have a chance to kind of reheat the tires, and they hit turn 4, and there's a lot more wear on the tires than there were at the beginning of the race. And they both hit the go button and spun the rear tires. We'll see if either Craig or Nasse spin them on the front row this time as we come to green and 4.
You saw Hudson Bolger did rejoin the field. He will be at the tail end of the running order with 44 laps to go. Matt Craig has led most of the laps so far tonight. Nasse up alongside, back underway in the Snowflake 100 with 44 circuits remaining.
Good restart for both. In fact, Nasse on the outside lane has the advantage middle of the backstretch, pulls alongside Craig. The two make contact. Sideways Craig, 3 wide. Here comes Capello for the lead.
Capello trying to be the hero all the way to the inside, nearly into the inside wall as Capello rockets to the front with a 3rd to 1st move off turn 2.
Nicely done by Craig and Nasse to allow the room to the bottom, or it could have been real hairy. Nasse trying to hang on to 2nd still. 42 laps to go. New leader.
3. Couple of cars have gone around. Big pile up there to the bottom of the racetrack.
Jim Wall, Anthony Bello, Jarrett Butcher, Jake Finch, all involved. And that's why you don't want to go to the back of the field. 6 of Lopez pulling away. Looks like he's mostly able to get away unscathed, taking away the great battle we had going on at the front of the field with our new leader, Dylan Capello.
Jake Finch had a fantastic car throughout most of this race. Sent to the back by virtue of his involvement in what was our first yellow flag after getting into the back of Augie Grill. And he was just about parked up on the top of the 91 of Jim Wall. He was able to back away. Was that Derek Thorne coming to the pit area with damage as well? See some of the brake hoses hanging out from underneath the nose of that car. It's a chaotic scene. Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Jim Trado.
Derek Thorne came to his pits. They told him, stop the engine, stop the engine. I think the worry is about the radiator area. The front nose is in place, but the hood's been bent up. As you can see, it's really pushed back towards what would be the air box leading towards the radiator. So they want him to shut that thing off so there's no airflow to the radiator. That could increase the temps. They're assessing the nose right now, Bob Dillner, in the 16 car. A lot of work to be done on this end of pit road.
And there is a lot of work to be done on the Jake Finch machine as well. You can see that airbox there kind of on the ground and a lot of damage to the front end machine. And the team says, forget about it, we're done. Throwing their hands down in disgust. Jake Finch throwing his steering wheel as well. Not happy as the driver and the team here of the 18.
Have a good reason. I mean, we were talking, Adam, when we looked at, who we may want to pick for our dirt draft tonight for our fantasy picks here. Jake Finch was on both of our lists as far as potential competitors. John Bolin in the pit lane as well. And this is going to be the first hit for several forms of attrition for a lot of drivers we consider to be contenders in a multi-car pileup in turns 3 and 4.
As the work that continues on the Derek Thorne 16, but his helmet also off, done for the race with the damage to the front. So 2 of the drivers that have made contact, Thorne and Finch, that were sent to the back because of the contact and spins earlier, involved in this one. Here's a look at the replay.
So that's Bolin in the 2. Wall sends it in there on the bottom, caught the apron, and then came up and tagged Bolin, and everybody piled into the melee. That's Lopez spinning on the top side, and here it is again. And what a great job by the 5 car of Jeremy Miller to get by. Chase Pinsino as well, and Derek Thorne just had nowhere to go. Jarrett Butcher spun, but didn't make any major contact. Same for that of Brandon Lopez up towards the top of the wall.
First major pileup of the race. It had been cleaned, very little attrition to this point. You see Jim Wall walking back down pit road as we send it down to Jim with Derek.
Derek Thorne has climbed out. A moment to think about things. You're hoping to get that car out. A lot of damage. It's an eventful race. You went from 14th to 2nd. A lot of things went on for your race. Tell us what happened in this incident.
This here, you just backed her so far. Everybody's necking up real bad. And obviously, everybody's running out of patience getting late in the race. But just unfortunate, man. Our car was awesome. The 81 there got us jacked up, trying to pass us, and then checked up in the middle on 3 and 4s, driving like a dart without feathers. So that put us in the back, unfortunately. And just when you're back there with that kind of stuff, this stuff happens.
And they are done, boys.
It will not be another opportunity at a victory here at Five Flags Speedway for that of Derek Thorne. He was looking for his 3rd Snowflake 100 victory. The good news is that he's got a chance to get another Tom Dawson trophy tomorrow, and the same will be said for that of Jake Finch. A couple of double-duty drivers having to retire early as Anthony Bello brings his car to the attention of his Dylan Fetcho racing team.
Bello getting the chance to drive this number 51 as part of the Fetcho racing squad. Dylan Fetcho actually got behind the wheel earlier in practice trying to make this car better. Bello making it through the last chance race. They're going to take a look at the car. It looks to be pretty unscathed. They looked all the way around it and sent him back out. Said, get back out there and let's turn some more laps.
So the 5th caution of the Snowflake 100 taking place with a multi-car crash as Jim Wall's car gets hauled back to the pit area. That we've got a quick glimpse at Jim walking back to the pit area after the driver out of Madison, Alabama, was able to qualify into his 5th Snowflake 100 after running the last 4. Was hoping to crack the top 10 for the first time in his Snowflake 100 career. Bolin, however, is able to continue on after being one of the first cars to go around. For an update on that 2 car, Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Jim Trado.
John Bolin, who's raced here and won a championship last year in the Pro Late Models here at Five Flags Speedway, came to pit road. The left rear tire was flat. And we talked about this being a 4-tire race, but with that tire being flat, the left rear tire was able to be replaced because it was flat under the caution. No penalty, but he obviously has to start in the back with that emergency left rear tire for John Bolin. Bob?
Been a tough outing for Jake Finch, involved in a couple of different happenings on the racetrack. What happened in that last one, Jake?
I don't know. It's probably best for me not to say what I really feel, right? But nah, it's just frustrating. You know, I felt like the first deal, like I get used up a lot in my career in general, and so tried to fill a hole and wanted to, and he chopped me, and down the back straightaway I got inside of him, he chopped me again, and I didn't plan on spinning him out, I was just planning on bumping him a little bit. I feel like Dale Sr.'s saying that, but it's just, and then with these cars, I mean, once you're not up there, you're just junk. I mean, look at, 81's back there, he can't pass anybody. It's just unfortunate. I hate it for these guys. I mean, I get pretty fired up, but it's just because I felt like I had a really good race car. I feel like I had a really good shot to win it. I felt like I was the best car and in traffic running the same lap times as the leader, but it is what it is. I mean, just my focus is on tomorrow now, and it's a bummer. I hate it for these guys, and just nowadays can't really say what you feel, but that's how I feel in politically correct terms.
Jake Finch has got a lot of passion. He's going after that Snowball Derby tomorrow.
I don't know about you, Adam. I think that young man did pretty well explaining how he feels, and we could all express that frustration, and we knew that it's going to be hard to pass once you get back there, and that's what Jake experienced, getting swept up in somebody else's mess.
He did. That's his experience from last year, actually announcing the Snowflake race on the broadcast 1 year ago as a color commentator. Jake explained the race well a year ago, and tonight he just, he said, I didn't mean to spin him, just meant to get into him, but that's the chance you take. If you make the contact and the guy spins, you're going to go to the back, and it buried him. He could very well be leading this race right now. That's how good the 18 car was.
And how about the race at the front of the field just before the crash took place? Dylan Capello, by virtue of a 3-wide move on Matt Craig and Stephen Nasse, who are battling for the race lead, is the control car for this restart. It'll be 42 laps to go in the Snowflake 100. Capello on the bottom, Nasse up top, back underway.
Capello spinning the tires a little bit on the restart. It's going to be pretty even at the line, and a battle for the lead ensues again. Remember, Nasse last time against Craig looked good in the outside groove, trying to take the lead away.
Nasse's got the advantage a little bit there off turn 2. Capello's going to sail the car in there on the bottom as they almost come together in the center of the corner. Side by side for the lead. Nasse by a bumper leads that lap. Capello shoves the car back to the bottom and 1.
Nasse a good run off the second corner using the outside lane momentum. After you run for several laps here, get deeper into the race. You can make that outside lane work, and Stephen Nasse looks like he's got a car that can do just that. He leads yet again with 40 laps to go as they beat and bang in turn 1.
More contact going into 1. More contact potentially off 2. Big pile up here on the front straightaway. George Phillips' car is destroyed. Several cars involved, and there's heavy damage to the number 55.
Nasse will be the leader. That's really possibly paying off his hard run to the outside lane, but some tore up cars, including George Phillips, which looks to be the worst for wear. 17 of Bolger down there.
And the good news is the window net is down on George Phillips' car to indicate to the safety workers he is okay. Vito Cancilla climbs out of the car. Hudson Bolger is going to try to drive away from the scene. A hard crash here up towards the front straightaway to bring out caution number 6.
The racing up front has been very good. Unfortunately, some accidents back in the field, slowing the pace here as of late. This one going to take a couple of minutes to clean up and hook up a couple of badly damaged race cars.
Phillips, driving for the Jamie Yelton Fathead Racing organization, had a mistake in qualifying. Actually fell back on a provisional, was told of the provisional before the last chance race took place, so he started shotgun on the field and was keeping his nose clean, no pun intended, after being fresh off a victory at New Smyrna Speedway in a Pro Late model on what was Florida Governor's Cup weekend. And you can see the Ross and Whitmer number 55 car is going to take a lot of work in order to get that vehicle repaired, if possible at all.
Not many straight pieces left on this race car. Likely a front clip and plenty of suspension damage. As we take the long walk, the driver that has fallen out of the race, ending his event 40 laps from the finish.
Vito Cancilla was trying to also make the Snowball Derby, came up a little bit short there, but he said this was the priority in that V5 out of Martinez, California. Let's take a look at what happened and what has been one of the hardest shunts that we've had so far in this race.
Watching him on the exit of 4, it goes 3 wide. And then a little further back, I'm not sure if that was an accordion type accident. I saw a 3 wide battle take place and thought that might have been the cause, but that was up a little further.
Looked like the bottom lane may have gotten stacked up a little bit, and it just continued to kind of trickle on back through the field until eventually the bumper tag got too hard and too rough for cars to be able to continue on in a straight capacity, as Jimmy Renfrew Jr., fresh off winning the Best Appearing Car Award for the Pro Late models, now down on the pit lane, and they are under the hood of that combination effort between Renfrew Motorsports and the Wilson Motorsports team.
Despite a little bumping that took place in the top 5 a couple of times in the first half of the race, it was very clean, but it's been a couple of pileups here as of late.
Let's get an update from our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Bob Dillner.
Well, what I see right now is this team taking a look at the throttle linkage on the carburetor. So evidently something wrong in terms of the throttle for Jimmy Renfrew Jr. here with the 00 machine. They got it back on, and now they're putting the air cleaner back on in the air box, and hopefully it'll be good to go. But they were looking at that throttle linkage, guys, so Jimmy Renfrew might have been having some trouble, whether it was lifting off the gas and it not returning, or really just standing on the gas and him not getting what he needed.
Renfrew was running 14th at the time when he elected to come down to the pit lane as the final car that was stranded off turn number 4 is removed from the scene. We're going to try to take one more look at what happened. Bottom side of your picture, watch the cars closest to the inside retaining wall, just past the tractor tire. I believe that might have been Zach Dixon that was first to get kicked up the racetrack, but things just start to accordion back together. Pinsino was in that mix as well, but the biggest contacts was Phillips into the back of Silas Ripley to trigger the actual wreck.
The 3 wide happened up in front of all the cars that started to accordion style run into one another, and it eventually ended with a multi-car pileup.
Cleanup continues off at turn number 4, but a very competitive Snowflake 100. 4 lead changes amongst 3 different leaders. We'll be back for the restart with 40 to go in the Snowflake right after this. Cars are rolling off after the second red flag of the Snowflake 100 here at Flags Speedway, following a multi-car crash off of turn number 4, as we have 40 laps to go to settle the first big race on the weekend, leading up to the 57th annual Snowball Derby, presented by Flow Sports tomorrow afternoon. We're continuing down there on Jimmy Renfrew's car. They're starting to put that vehicle back together, and they'll get him back out there. The fans enjoying this contest. Race fans, your favorite races, games, movies, whatever, are much better on the big screen. Select your favorite teams, tracks, series, and more to easily access the content that you're looking for every time you open up our beautifully redesigned TV apps. Download the Flow Sports TV apps today, available on all major app stores. I think I've finished conquering our Airbnb, Adam. I think I got just about every TV outfitted with Flow Sports by now.
Nice.
That was my agenda. As far as what we got going on here at the racetrack, let's go down to our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter and Jim Trado.
I had what was left of the nose on the 25 in frame, but the team decided to push it back to the Rackley War Pits with Silas Ripley in the white uniform pushing at the back, and that car was completely torn up on the front end. They completely removed the front end. The front bodywork was removed, so the radiator was exposed. All the modifieds, maybe they thought they could get the car back out, but just too much damage for the 15-year-old to continue. Bob?
Just want to give you an update on the 00 of Jimmy Renfrew Jr. The team has fixed that race car. What it was an over-revving condition, and they thought the throttle might be stuck open just a little bit, so they did play with that throttle linkage, and they believe they have it fixed for the 00.
He's got 40 laps to try to figure it out for that of Jimmy Renfrew Jr. Pro Late Model Rookie of the Year with the Cars Tour in 2024. Also, when he had some off weekends, he went back up north to New Hampshire to race in some street stock events. He ran an American-Canadian Tour event as well. Now he's got to try to hit the reset button and work his way up through this race. And how about this, Adam? Due to the timing of the caution and when the last completed lap was scored, Stephen Nasse, for the first time tonight, is going to be the control car for this restart, as you see what is left to the front end of George Phillips' machine.
Might be mostly cosmetic. He took that hit to the front. Not sure how much it got into the... I don't mean that it didn't get the radiator and some of the support bars, but I'm talking frame here. I'm talking clip.
I heard Eric. You were Mr. Brightside. I didn't know it was that much.
I'm glass half full type guy. It looked a lot worse than what I think the car really is what I'm saying. It's not good. I'm not saying it's good.
If you can't tell, we're having a blast, and I can't believe we still got 40 circuits to go in this race. Stephen Nasse and Dylan Capello, who have just been having an absolute slugfest, with Matt Craig, who runs third, Spencer Davis riding up to fourth. Let's tip our caps to the cars that are in row number 3. Cole Williams in the 46, Seth Christensen in the 45. These are two young drivers who have been doing their absolute best to stay up towards the front of the field. They've been racing very respectfully, and they're doing a solid job here fighting for that last spot in the top 5 as of right now.
Yeah, Cole Williams wasn't that good in practice yesterday or early today, but he picked it up for qualifying and gave himself a good chance up front. He's avoided all the issues that have taken place, and he runs in the number 5 position right now. 1 to go signal shown by Dan Spence. Next time we're going to go back to green. Now Nasse looked really good in the outside lane for the restarts. Now he's going to be starting from inside of row number 1, which is the preferred lane here. But we've seen the drivers on the pole spin their tires, especially after they've cooled, and you know those tires have cooled off again under this yellow flag period.
So now it'll be Stephen Nasse, who is fighting valiantly on the top side. The last 2 restarts for the lead of this race. That's how he got the lead of this race. Now he's got Dylan Capello to his outside. A couple of cars burped the back tires as we're back underway through the Buzzy Racing Speed Shot. 40 to go in the Snowflake.
Nasse looks good on the bottom lane. Capello's going to get that run with the momentum on the outside groove heading into turn 3. Matt Craig watching closely from behind. Spencer Davis back up into the 4th spot. Dylan Capello's mom on the right side of the screen cheering Capello on as he makes another run to the high lane in 1 and 2.
Now a big run to the outside for Capello as we got a car around. That's Chase Pinsino, who has spun up in turn number 2, and that will draw another yellow flag as the Carson Hocevar Racing entry gets righted. And we'll have to survey all corners of the race car to see if he got away with one.
Nassi will be shown as the leader. It was Capello making a real hard charge. Just when you thought that Nassi had solidified the lead, Capello drove deep into turn 1 and it stuck pretty well in the outside lane to challenge again. Taking a look at the replay, a couple of different looks at it. Pensacola right side of the screen, entering the corner, came down, I think, a little bit on Baldwin, and Baldwin had his nose to the inside.
Very similar to what we saw earlier in the night with Carson Brown and Silas Ripley. As you see there, Baldwin just about had the driver's door all the way up against the concrete on the entrance to turn 1. And a good job by the rest of the field to be able to avoid Pinsonneau's car as he slid back up the racetrack.
It was one of those, do I stick my nose in there, do I back out and give him room? And it didn't pay out that time for Pinsonneau, who closed the door, maybe not knowing Baldwin was to the low side. Pretty deep in the pack. 39 laps to go. Hudson Bulger to the pits. Crew working on the front end of his race car. Byron Power Sports number 17.
Nassi able to retain the lead by virtue of when the caution flag came out. You see some of the damage to the front end of the Tommy Baldwin Racing number 7 NY, as we're starting to see more and more cars that are continuing to run in this race produce evidence of battle scars and bruises, with still 39 laps to go. You see Carson Brown with the center nose punched in a little bit, just like that of Baldwin behind him.
I think some of that damage coming from a previous accident, not even the one that was recent with the accident in turn number 1. We've doubled them up again. This one a shorter yellow flag period. We've kind of gone rapid fire right around the middle point of this race. We got to lap 45 or so quickly, and since then been a little bit of a mess.
But the racing at the front of the field has been incredible, and we've seen a good bit of respect, albeit some chances taken with some 3-wide moves, some shuffling. But the charge by Stephen Nassi from 24th to be in this position right now in control of this race is something that has to be admired by many. One thing that we're not quite sure of is the potential fall off of the new Hoosier ST1s on the left side and ST3s on the right side for these race cars. This is a new tire compound for a race of this nature. All the drivers have to finish the race on the tires they started on. So did Nassi perhaps push a little too hard early, and is it going to come back around to bite him at the end of this race? This is the first true test for this tire in this contest, and we're 39 laps away from finding out.
Set for the restart. Nassi and Capello had a pretty even restart last time. Capello goes perhaps maybe a little bit early in turn 4. He waits on Nassi to pull back alongside as the lead battle continues in 1.
Capello had the edge. He still has the edge off of turn number 2. That's the father of the car in number 11, or the driver of number 11 in Capello. Little bit of contact there. Nassi just about to the door. Trouble! Big crash off of turn 4. Massive ride for Casey Roderick, who went skyward over the top of another car.
Big hit and a pile up down in turn number 4 in the Snowflake 100.
And the window net is down on Casey Roderick's car after a frightening ride in turn number 4 with several other competitors involved. Not much left on the left side of Casey Roderick's machine. The 2024 Blizzard Series champion in the super late models wasn't able to put together a ride for the Snowball Derby in 2024, and he definitely took the wildest ride we have had so far here this season. He did drop the window net, but he is taking his time to get out of the car.
Pit road is busy. Drivers pulling down. Crew all over the place as a multi-car pile up the most severely damaged car, the Roderick machine, just racing in the flake here in 2024. Jeremy Miller's car turned around, Jet Nolan's car. I believe Anthony Bello involved down there as well.
The wreck seemed to start up towards the front half of the field, and being fresh off the restart, there just wasn't a lot of room to escape what was happening. as now the attention turns to the scene in turn number 4, with the track rescue workers and safety crew continuing to talk to and work with that of Casey Roderick after what was a frightening incident, with several cars still remaining on the scene there in that portion of the racetrack. So while we await for more information from down there in turn number 4, let's go down to our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter and Bob Dillner.
Connor Jones has already brought his 44 machine to pit road, and the left front fender is messed up, but take a look at the right front fender on this race car. They're taking the old 200-mile-an-hour duct tape out here and trying to get the right side body panels to adhere to the car. Right now you can see that right front fender is all torn up. The door, which is metal, is actually torn up as well. But the problem is that fiberglass right front fender on this race car. So a lot of damage on this machine, but it looks like they're going to try to get it back out on the racetrack.
Thanks, Bob. Connor Jones caught up in this big incident here down in turn number 4. As the situation continues to evolve down there on that side of the racetrack, with Casey Roderick being one of the most badly damaged vehicles that we saw over there in turn number 4. Jeremy Miller's car still caught up there in the mess. And cleanup operations continuing down there on that side of the racetrack. And what is unfortunately, by my count, the 8th caution of this race, and I believe our 3rd red flag. One of the cars caught up in the wreck after trying to work on the throttle linkage issue in the 0-0 for that of Wilson Motorsports and his family-owned operation. Joe's Racing Product pit reporter Jim Trado is with Jimmy Renfrew Jr.
Yeah, and it seems like it's been a couple of cautions where if you did pit or did come down pit road or you're in the back half of the field, you're at risk. What was your thoughts, Jimmy Renfrew? Your car's on the racetrack and you've walked away.
Yeah, just kind of embarrassing, really. I mean, just people don't know how to shift in this class. A lot of them need to go to, you know, some sort of driving school or something like that to really learn the basics, you know, the stuff that the rest of us learned when we were 12, 13, 14 years old, and it's just kind of stuck with us. But, yeah, we got a junk race car and had to come down pit road because something was going on with the throttle after we, you know, got all bottled up on one of those restarts. And you know, we kind of said this at the start. We qualified too far back. We missed a little bit of qualifying. Our race trim was much better than our qualifying speed, and just tried to pick them off one by one, got up inside the top 10, and had to come down pit road, and I figured it was only a matter of time. But that's the problem with pro racing nowadays. A lot of guys that don't know what they're doing, but they can afford to be here. So I don't know when that car will be on the track again. We just got it all back together from when I got wrecked on Cars Tour, and same thing. So, but we'll be back eventually. I don't know if it'll be next year or the year after, but we'll take some time, regroup, and see where we end up next.
That's Jimmy Renfrew Jr., who came down here with the efforts put behind him, the financing to go with Donnie Wilson Racing and his partnership to get that car ready and back together. Now it's in pieces.
Thanks, Jim. And the good news that we got is Casey Roderick did get out of the car and walk his way over to the ambulance, so he is in fact okay. Let's try to piece together what happened here off of turn number 4. This is going down the backstretch in turn 3, and we'll try to check the first car to go around. Travis Braden got sideways, and oh my goodness, a savage hit for Roderick, head on into the outside wall.
The onboard with Carson Brown as he was somehow able to weave his way through there. It was the contact in the inside lane. We got Cole Williams, Travis Braden sideways, and nowhere to go.
It was up over Caden Honeycutt's right rear that launched the 62 up towards the sky. And Travis Braden also got really lucky there that as that car started to spin, he didn't end up making contact with the abutment that separates the end of the pit wall, as Carson Brown had to ping-pong his way through the carnage that unfolded out in front of him.
So when Braden gets sideways and spins towards the inside lane, everybody else moves up. When they did, Casey Roderick launching over the right rear wheel and slamming the wall. One of the biggest hits we've seen in pro late model competition in some time.
So an unbelievable ride for Casey Roderick. And again, the good news is that he was able to climb out of the car and walk on over to safety personnel after what was quite the incident in turn number 4. And the hardworking track crew here at Flags Speedway is put back to work to have to clean up the scene over there on the outside of turn number 4. Let's go down to Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Jim Trado.
Yeah, Jimmy Renfrew Jr. walked away. His car is literally wedged next to Anthony Bello's car that Dylan Fetcho's fielded for him. So Anthony's climbed back in. He's putting the belts back on. He looked over the damage. He asked for some parts to be thrown over the wall so he can fix what he can fix under this red flag condition. But that left front is wedged literally next to Jimmy Renfrew's car, and I think Bello thinks that his car is not damaged enough to call it a day. So he's putting the helmet back on here on the front stretch as we got a lot to clean up here. But I think Bello's optimistic with getting back out there once that 00 car is pulled literally wedged away from his left side door.
Thanks, Jim. And now we're unfortunately starting to see the ugly side of some of the attrition that is starting to take place in this race. And that may be an opportunity and some motivation for Bello to try to get back out there and overtake some of the cars that are not going to be able to continue. And as you can see on the 00 of Jimmy Renfrew Jr.'s car, the Minions had quite the experience tonight, coming up 39 laps short of the finish.
Car that was the HD5 Best Appearing Car Award. Down to Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Bob Dillner.
Jet Nolan involved in that incident off of turn number 4. First of all, are you okay? And second of all, what'd you see?
Yeah, we're all good. I don't know exactly which car got free, but I think it may be the 69 or the 62. Someone got free getting off of 4, and it just caused all that. It's just a racing deal. I don't really think it's too much of anybody's fault. It's just racing and how it is. Not a lot of room down there, and people just driving in, how they drive here. So
glad you're okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Jet Nolan won his way into this race by virtue of winning the last chance effort that took place earlier on this afternoon. However, he is not going to make it to the finish line as one of the last cars to be removed from the scene and one of the wildest wrecks that we've seen at the Snowflake 100. And a really successful driver who had a lot of success across multiple disciplines of these style of chassis of race cars, Casey Roderick, being hauled up on the flatbed and the cleanup crew working diligently to get this race back underway.
It has been a rough middle portion of this race. We still have 39 laps to go. Stephen Nasse leading the way. Dylan Capello, Matthew Craig, Spencer Davis, and Seth Christensen rounding out the top 5. It's going to take a bit of time to clean up the debris and liquid down in turn 4.
The track crew has been hard at work all night long, and that work continues in turn number 4. Casey Roderick okay after a frightening crash. 39 to go in a Snowflake 100. We'll be back for the restart right after this.
Welcome back to Pensacola and Flags Speedway. Snowflake 100 Pro Late Model race. We're under a red flag for a big crash involving several drivers that have won championships in the Upper Midwest and the Big 8 Late Model Series. Jeremy Miller among them. It's a 16-hour drive to get here from Rockford, Illinois, and you guys are now going to take this car home in a few more pieces. Jeremy, what happened?
Just a lack of respect from some of these guys on restarts. Guys are getting turned around like they're trying to come from the high groove down to the bottom because there's really no high groove tonight. So, and then they're cutting across somebody's nose and getting spun out and tearing a lot of race cars up for nothing. Like, we were honestly, I don't know, that was 15th to 20th, and we're tearing race cars up, and it's just not very smart.
When it comes to this race, I know you guys came down pit road early. I was checking in with your crew chief, Casey Johnson. I said, what'd you change to get that car handling better? And he said, what didn't we change? How much of a puzzle has it been for you guys this weekend?
Yeah, it's just, we've missed it. Like, brought the package down. We ran at Nashville, ran really well there, and then come here and just missed it, really. Like, the car's just been going from sliding the nose to swinging rear end around. So it was just way too loose to start the race, so we came in, tightened the car up, and made it a little better, but it still needed a lot more.
We came to Florida to get nice weather. We're about seeing our breath, and it feels like Rockford on December 1st now. Is the track slick? Was there a lack of grip that could have contributed to some of these accidents?
Yeah, there's nothing in the high groove tonight. Like, you got to be wrapping the bottom. Like, you get anything in the high groove, you just slide. So, and that's why a lot of guys are trying to get to the bottom, but there's just needs to be a little more respect in the deal, because we're just wrecking guys, and then you're keeping your spot. Back home, like, you wreck a guy, you go to the back, and that kind of takes care of that problem. But it's not like that right down here. So.
The thoughts. Jeremy Miller, one of the cars involved in that big crash here on the front straightaway. Left front, you got spun around, but good news is he's able to walk away, and this team will head back to Rockford.
You got some fans, Adam. Look at this.
Oh, Bob's got me, but this did not happen on a qualifying night. This did not happen, Bob, on a qualifying night. It is way after 6 o'clock. We would have been done qualifying an hour ago. He said, hey, the due on Friday nights for qualifying. I said, it never happens, never happens. Well, it happened tonight, but it's 8:46.
Hey,
doesn't count.
I only had a break now to do that. This due has been out for over an hour and a half.
Yeah, we haven't had any slowdowns in the last hour and a half, Bob. He got me.
Well, first off, how good is it to have Bob Dillner back at the Derby? That's been a common thread. But speaking of things that are not so good, what we're seeing right here, Adam Mackey, we got word during the break that one of the cars that has been a contender all night long has a chance to come back, but it's going to be tough.
Dylan Capella was warned a couple of restarts ago about jumping the start as the second-place car. He jumped it once, and they warned him. He did it again. He started too early down in turn number 4. Here it is. He starts first in the box, and to the line, he was the first one across the line. That is a no-no. That means he was going to get the black flag and sent to the pits. He's got to go to the pits here. He's fortunate the yellow came out because it's going to keep him on the lead lap, but he'll have to restart at the tail. We'll see if he comes back out onto the track to resume and try to come back through the field.
And Adam, you said in real time, it looks like he tried to give the spot back a little bit, but just wasn't enough. And the decision for the team to now come down the pit area, it's like, well, if we're going to go to the rear of the field, let's work on this thing. Let's make it a little bit better, because now I'm going to be back in heavy traffic for the first time all night long.
Terrible break, because he's been absolutely great the last couple of days in practice and qualifying in the race tonight, going after Stephen Nasse. Those two were having a great battle. He just knew he had to be perfect on the restart, so maybe take a chance to take the lead back. And unfortunately, he was a little too quick restarting down in the box of turn 4.
Jim Trado is down there.
Guys, I just checked in with an interesting spectator who's more than just spectating. Jake Garcia is teammates with Seth Christensen in that black number 54. They're teenagers both, but Jake's got a bunch of experience. He said, I've helped Seth through the spotter on his restarts and what the spotter can't see in turn 4. So Jake is actually spotting for the team in turn 4 on the apron down there. And he came over to pit road to check things out, but he's headed back that way to help Seth via texting, hit the spotter to tell Seth what he should or should not do in the racing line. And he said, man, Seth is doing so good on the restarts. He's making good choices. But Jake's been working a lot with that young driver throughout the week. And tonight it's proving he's listening to Jake. He's up in the top 5. The only teenager's up there right now.
Thanks, Jim, and thank you to our partner, Joe's Racing Products, for allowing us to provide you with all the information and updates down to the pit lane. How about this onboard for that of Carson Brown? And look how far back up the running order he's come by being able to avoid some of the carnage. Got some dings, got some dents, but should the trend of this race continue this way, Carson Brown could get back up there maybe in contention.
The caution lights are off, the pace car lights are off. It's going to drop to pit road this time, and we're ready for a restart. 61 laps down, 39 laps to go in the Allen Turner Snowflake 100.
Nassie, the control car on the bottom. Matt Craig in the 54 up top. Back underway with 39 laps to settle in. Another great launch by the top lane as Matt Craig has the edge in turn 1.
Nassie did start first down in turn 4, I believe, that time, but then spun the tires or did not get up to speed as quickly. So I think Craig's going to be okay here. And in fact, this time at the line as he chases it up the track. Craig leads the lap, but here comes Nassie back to the inside.
You saw how out of shape Matt Craig was off turn 4, digging to the top lane to try to get back to the lead as he controlled most of the first half of this race. But Nassie's gotten right back up to the wheel as they're door-to-door at the start-finish line.
Nassie, the leader at the line, this time by 63 laps down. After a lap or two, Nassie's car picks back up. Now he's out front. Craig drops into second. Two of the best pro and super late model drivers over the last 5 to 10 years are at the front of the pack. Christensen, a youngster, running in third. Spencer Davis still among the lead battle in fourth.
Side-by-side battle here inside the top 10. 33, Dustin Smith on the bottom. Outside, TJ DeCare in the Walker Motorsports 15 with Michael Hine trying to fill the void that is left open by the 15 car. With how about this? Colin Allman in the 67 after everything that car and driver's been through as he gets into DeCare there in 1 and 2. Qualified without power steering. Now trying to get a top 10 in the Snowflake.
Allman's car, a 2005 left-hander chassis. Low budget operation, family operation. They do it the hard way, and they've had a lot of bad luck, but he qualified in, and now he's coming toward the front. He's in the top 10 again this year. He's a former third-place finisher in the race as DeCare drops back to the bottom in front of John Bolin.
Bolin just about gave DeCare a bit of a warning shot as that left front fender is badly damaged on TJ's car, and that may not be helping him keep that car to the inside. He continues to lose some spots here. That's Zach Dixon in the 67, who will be next up in line to try to get around the 15 as DeCare has fallen to 12th.
2/3 of this race now complete. In fact, 68 goes on the board this time. Carson Brown has rallied through the field after the contact earlier sent him to the back of the field. He's running now in the 9th position. He's got a pretty good race car still, despite a couple of mishaps that have taken place. He's coming toward the front with still 30 plus to go.
You see frequent sparks out from underneath of that Anthony Campy Racing number 81 with several pieces of that car evidently dragging across the asphalt here at Flags Speedway. They've done a great job trying to repair that car, as has Dustin Smith chasing down Caden Honeycutt, who's got a little right rear quarter panel damage on his car. Trying to get up into the 6th spot is that of Dustin Smith.
Previous lap, Carson Brown was the 3rd fastest car in our top 10, so he's got a car capable of getting up there and challenging again with 29 to go. Honeycutt running in the 6th position, wants to get up there in the top 5, follows Williams. Dustin Smith quietly having a very good night in the 33.
This battle continuing to ratchet up here. Smith, another competitor, along with the driver he's chasing that is going to race in tomorrow's Snowball Derby. Starting on different ends of the field, however. Smith's going to roll off 23rd. Caden Honeycutt outside pole.
Honeycutt really free through 1 and 2 there as the car rotating a little too much on the bottom lane. Hanging on to it. You see the deck lid with some damage back there. Maybe not giving him enough downforce as here comes the 33. Of Smith to challenge for 6th.
And Smith is going to want to go because Michael Hind is starting to close up quickly. A little bit of a bump there. He let Honeycutt save the car. He's still fighting the car up towards the top side. And now it's Smith to the bottom with Hind trying to follow him through the open door.
Hind not only in the 69, but also the 81 of Brown is there. Changes for position in 6th through 10th. Honeycutt had 7th at the line. Hind has taken it. Here comes Brown as well, and just inside of the top 10 now in 9th is Caden Honeycutt.
Meanwhile, up at the front of the field, not missing anything, is Stephen Nasse. Holds a half-second lead over Matt Craig as we enter the final quarter of this race in uncharted territory for many of these Pro Late Model teams. Not sure that anybody over the course of the last 3 days has gone 75-plus laps on these tires on this surface. Is it possible that perhaps some of the front runners have used up the good on the Hoosiers too quick, or are they in prime position to settle it amongst themselves?
For 9th position, Colin Allman gets to the inside, takes it away from Honeycutt as he's fading now. John Bolin trying to move inside of the top 10 for the first time tonight.
Honeycutt continuing to slip further down the running order. Ullman, as you said, up tonight. Now Bolin going to challenge for a top 10 effort, as Honeycutt is just trying to make it to the finish. And that Bryson Lopez, number 47 car, and Bolin's got a good run here off 4.
Keep in mind another event still on our schedule tonight, the Faith Chapel Outlaw 50-lap feature with a strong field of outlaw competitors to go racing here this evening as well. The 69 of Hind running in 7th. Brown is closing quickly. Carson Brown, one of the drivers that went all the way back into the deep 30s when he had to go to the back of the field, is starting to rally. He was able to miss, for the most part, those accidents, and it may pay off with a top 5 finish if things continue to go his way.
And for Carson Brown, we heard from car owner Anthony Campy earlier tonight, and there was obviously some frustrations over how the race has unfolded. But this has been a tremendous learning experience for this young man who has had success several times up towards the front of fields. But on a night like this, where you have to battle back through adversity, keep your head in the game and maintain composure, even when you want tensions to boil over just a little bit after all that's happened. Brown has done a superb job staying focused forward as he continues to rocket his way up through the pack.
Well, they talked about it down on pit road, asking Stephen's father, Jeff, if they thought they had enough race car left. I would say they do. 18 laps to go, and Stephen Nasse, his advantage continues to grow. It's nearly a 1-second lead over Matt Craig. Seth Christensen running right behind Craig in 3rd.
Nasse told us earlier today, even after what would be subpar qualifying efforts in not only Snowflake 100, but also going to roll off 30th for tomorrow's 57th annual Snowball Derby, qualifying doesn't really matter all that much to him. He knows his ability as a race car driver. He's gotten himself up to the front, but how about Matt Craig here in 2nd spot? Craig also, very impressive resume in these types of cars. 2-time Car Store Super Late Model champion. Did so in 2019 and 2020. All-American 400 winner in 2021. 3-time Past South Super Late Model champion. And the list goes on and on. Craig trying to get himself a Snowflake 100 win for the first time, with the youngster in Seth Christensen chasing in 3rd.
Matt Craig, solid run tonight, but going to come up a little bit short unless Nasse has some issues. He's by himself in 2nd. There's Christensen. Good run for the young man. One of the least experienced drivers up in our top 5. We've got some veterans up there, and Nasse, Craig, Davis, and Williams, all of them have plenty of pro and super late model experience. Christensen, the one that stands out, is the youth up there competing with some of the best in racing.
Spencer Davis, as we've well documented, had an incredible year on the car store side. 2 trips to victory lane in his pro late model before wrapping up the owner's title and 2nd in the driver's standings. And also Cole Williams, a great effort by this driver out of Memphis, Indiana. Made a handful of ARCA starts earlier in his career, but now trying to regroup with success in this style of race car in his 3rd Snowflake appearance and 1st since 2021 as we check in on Dylan Capello.
Up to 13th is Capello after going to the back for the restart violation. Capello now has taken 12th away from TJ DeCare. Still 12 laps to go, make it 11 that time. He has a car that could be capable of getting up to battle for even the top 5, but he'll need some help for at least one more slowdown as he's well behind in track distance.
2022 World Series of Asphalt champion Michael Hind starting to pressure the backside of Dustin Smith in what is a race inside the top 10 for 6th, as Smith's car is starting to get a little bit light on the back end. Hind's car coming to life maybe when it matters most, and this long run is producing a little bit of brake rotor glow in the right front of that 69 car as you see Smith start to bobble a little bit on corner exit.
Hind's car still looks to be well into the track, and as I say that, he had to saw the wheel and turn back to the right got down on the flat of turn number 4, and it kicked out from underneath of him. Less than 10 laps to go. The battle for 6th place right here. Dustin Smith and Michael Hine.
Here's Seth Christensen working around Anthony Bello, who I believe just fell a lap off the leaders, with Nassi being able to get by in a race that, since the big melee off turn number 4 that took out Casey Roderick and more, has gone clean and green. We restarted with 39 laps to go. We've gone 31, now 32 consecutive green flag laps, with Nassi trying to win his first Snowflake. Here's the battle for 6th.
Smith has it. Michael Hine wants it. Turning about the same lap times. You see Smith off of turn number 2, pulls away a little bit. Hine better on corner entry. Through the middle a little bit better as well, but I think Hine gives up a little bit on corner exit.
These two separated by about a car length, with Carson Brown also closing in. They've got a good ways to go, to the tune of about 1 second, if they want to fight it out for a top 5 spot. Coming up on 5 to go, with Smith doing a good job holding off Hine for now, and they're actually starting to close in on Cole Williams a little bit. It may end up being a 4-car fight for a top 5 spot. 4 to go. Nassi with a bit of a bobble there in the middle of 3 and 4.
He's got a big lead build up. He can cruise and not overdrive the car at this point. He's in a good rhythm. We watched that battle heat up, and Dustin Smith knows he's got to go now, because a hungry Carson Brown trying to rally from that going to the back of the field earlier, and he's right there with Smith trying to take every position possible. A frustrating night for Carson Brown, but trying to make the most of it.
You see some of the members and family watching on. That's Stephen Nassi's father taking in what will be the final 2 laps in a Snowflake 100, as Nassi comes up on the back of Travis Braden to put him a lap down.
Braden not having the night we were expecting to see him have. He was pretty good yesterday in practice, couldn't match it today in qualifying or in race trim. Nassi seeing the 1 to go this time, as the race leader has built up nearly a 2-second lead.
White flag in the air for Stephen Nassi. Came oh so close to winning this race back in 2020, but a penalty was issued towards the end of that contest, giving him his worst Snowflake 100 finish. The team is already watching him bring it home. Stephen Nassi wins the 2024 Snowflake 100.
Matt Craig brings it across the line in second as the crew celebrates on pit road. His first win in 8 Snowflake starts. Stephen Nassi, dominant tonight from the 24 starting position, gets it done in the Snowflake.
Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Bob Dillner is down there with an elated team and family.
Walking along with Jeff Nassi here. Snowflake 100 winner. How's that sound for your son?
That sounds great to me. I'm sure he's real proud to do that. I mean, we've been coming here a lot trying to get it done. We got it done tonight.
But Jeff, how about that run from back in the field to get to the lead?
Well, he always likes to do that. He wants to show off a little bit.
Nassi wins this race from 24th. He's going to try to win the Derby tomorrow from 30th. What a race, a clean run to the finish, and a title in which Nassi has been chasing right alongside a Snowball Derby top honor. And Nassi parks the car on the front stretch ahead of Matt Craig and Seth Christensen, your front 3.
Spencer Davis, great run in 4th. Williams in the 5th spot. A lot of good names in pro late model racing among our top 5. Michael Hine just outside. Carson Brown rallies, ends up finishing in the 8th spot. Allman in that older car finishing in 9th. A good night after a tough week for Colin Allman.
John Boland rounding out the top 10 finishers after the remaining 39 laps, ran clean and green after a lot happened to get us to this point. We're going to throw it down to our Joe's Racing Products pit reporter Jim Trado, who is in what is a very electric victory lane now that Stephen Nassi has parked that car in the winner's circle for this race for the first time.
He is elated for a very good reason. He is trying to get the wires undone from the hat. He's trying to get the hat on. He's already had the fist pumps. He may be out of breath. This is a huge win for Stephen Nassi in the Flags Speedway Snowflake 100 winner. Stephen, it took a long time to get there, but man, you controlled this race for the second half. What were those last couple laps like for you?
Man, I'll tell you, Matt, had me a little bit worried there. I thought he had a little bit better car than I thought, and I'll tell you what, I'm so proud of my dad and Mark, Tom, Greg, Chris, Weeder, everybody, Alex, everybody that's put a hand in this race car, Caleb, Josh. I mean, there's so many good people that I have working with me, and I'll tell you, they ain't taking this one from me, I promise you that. And, you know, it feels damn good. I hope everybody enjoyed the show. I had a great time putting it on out there for everybody. And it was some good racing, that 3 wide for the lead. And it got crazy out there, and I'm just glad I could come home with the win.
You won a couple of pro late model races earlier this year. You put this one away and said, I'm waiting to take that thing to Pensacola. What was the reason for getting this car just right for this family team to do what you did tonight?
I mean, I'll tell you, it's just, ever since we've put this car back together and started running as a pro car, it's just been super fast everywhere we go. And, you know, Mark loves this car here, and, you know, it's just special to us. And I'll tell you what, it's just, I'm so damn proud of these guys, and I'm kind of speechless. And I want to shout out Family Funeral coming on board, Mitch Smith, of course, Spieler, 5-Star, Hamke, Strange Oval, Bell, Joe's Racing Products, Jones Racing Products, and Brembo, of course. My man Gator there always helped me out with them awesome brakes. And, man, I'll tell you what, I'm happy.
Stephen Nass in Victory Lane tonight here. He's the Snowflake 100 winner. Bob?
Matt Craig, second place, almost tonight. What was the difference?
It was really good to fire off, and you know, the 11 was giving me a good run at the beginning. Maybe I pushed the right front a little hard too soon. I don't know. You gotta do it all you can do. You know, these races are so hard to win, but you know, I just got to thank my crew. You know, we worked really hard. This car was not good in practice, and we kept tuning on it, got it better and better, and man, that's so close, you know, so close, but next time.
Not bad for a car that was pushed to the back of the shop.
Yeah, we don't run this thing very often, kind of like Nasty. We push the pro cars in the back corner, and when it's time for the Snowflake, we pull them out, dust them off, and bring them out here.
All right, Matt Craig with a great run tonight, but comes up just a little bit short here at Flags Speedway.
Thanks, Bob. And it still ends up being Matt Craig's best finish in the Snowflake 100 and what was his third start in this race. His best finish prior was 5th in 2020. But, Adam, we heard what Stephen Nass said. They're not taking this one away from me. And a very adamant and jubilant celebration for that team. Even though this is the prelim night for the Derby, it's obvious how much this race means to that driver and organization. We're going to check in with our third-place finisher. We'll throw it down to Joe's Racing Products pit reporter, Jim Trado.
Seth Christensen had a hard race and a lot of restarts to perfect. And I talked to your super late model teammate, Jake Garcia. He said Seth's better on these restarts, but he was down in the corner watching and texting your spotter. But it was you behind the wheel to come home third tonight, Seth. How satisfying is this run with this stout field?
Oh, man, it's just so much fun. You know, these two guys in front of me have won more races than I've been in. So with what I think is the oldest car in the field, you know, Ricky Turner's done a great job with this thing. You know, just got to thank the freight racing guys, CB Partners, Hackett Truck Sales, Kelly Drywall, you know, Ricky, Will, Brian, Stevie Ray, my spotter, Steven, and everybody that makes this possible is just I'm speechless, really.
At some point, you were running 5th, then you got the 4th, then you got the 3rd. I'm thinking, okay, were you comfortable or just looking at these guys going, I'm about to pass Matt Craig. Hey, Stephen Nassie's ahead of me. I can get him too. I mean, these guys, no doubt, are the guys you've been aspiring to race with after watching them for many years, I'm sure, growing up.
Oh, absolutely. You know, this is just a race it's been a dream to just be a part in. So to finish third here, my first attempt, I think is pretty good. But, you know, just crazy race, went forward and backwards and sometimes sideways there. But, you know, it was just a blast and just super thankful.
Ricky Turner, Turnco Motorsports have Seth Christensen of third place finish. This young driver, no doubt, has a lot to be proud of in his first Snowflake run.
Look at that young man taking a good look at that third-place trophy. What a piece of hardware, and it's well-deserved with how physical and demanding this race could oftentimes be, and we saw that on several occasions. But, Adam, back to Stephen Nass being able to celebrate this effort. We mentioned the composure he's had all week long. Starting in the 24th spot, he's going to start a little bit further back in the Derby, but how about that elation by this team, celebrating one race that he has wanted to win, maybe second to that of only the Derby?
Elation, no doubt. Thought he had it won a few years ago. Thought he had the Derby won a few years ago. Neither went home officially with Stephen Nass. Tonight's most likely will. He is celebrating in victory lane with Snowball and Miss Snowball Derby Ansley Brown. Stephen Nasse will celebrate this one, but he can't celebrate too long. You know why? Because tomorrow he's going to go for his first Snowball Derby win. And he's got a car for Campy Racing tomorrow that's capable, I think, in race trim of going for that win. He starts 30th tomorrow. He started 24th tonight. He passes a lot of race cars in races where he starts deep in the field.
And he got all the way up towards the front of this field, just at about the halfway point, little past 50 laps being complete. He's got triple the distance tomorrow to work his way up through the field from that 30th place starting spot, 300 laps of distance. And look at that smile. I don't think that smile is going to come off until he shifts his entire focus to the Derby tomorrow, as he is continuing to celebrate these top honors down here on the racetrack. One that got away comes back to him. He's hoping for the same fortune tomorrow is that of Stephen Nasse. A wild and remarkable race, but the celebration for this driver and team is going to continue on. And Adam, is he still running the Outlaw car?
No, they didn't qualify the Outlaw car today, so I'm not sure what ended up happening there. So they'll be able to start celebrating a little bit early. Officially, the most lead changes in the Snowflake tonight, 6 among 3 leaders. It's been a race where the fast guy starting toward the front of the field has been tough to pass in the past. Tonight, Nasse from 24th to 1st. Dustin Smith from 25th to 7th. John Bolin 29th to 10th. And Colin Allman 23rd to 9th. There was plenty of passing in tonight's race.
Well, there's still one race to go. However, for us and our duties and roles and responsibility, we're winding things down here for tonight. So we're going to check in with some final thoughts from our Joe's Racing Products pit reporters, and Bob Dillner and Jim Trado.
Hey guys, it's a little chilly out here. You can see our breath here, but it was a fantastic race for the Snowflake 100. Stephen Nasse getting back to victory lane here at Flags Speedway. He's done that a couple of times throughout his career. He's done it during Snowball Derby weekend. Unfortunately, did not fare well in post-race tech in the past. But what a jubilant night for Nasse. He was almost as emotional in victory lane. His dad was emotional as well.
And for Nasse, I've seen him do a lot of great burnouts. And I positioned the camera and said, stay right here. What Nasse did is he pulled up and stopped and popped the wheel literally while the car was about to stop to make sure he was near his guys. He was not about to carry on. He wanted his guys to be part of that emotional win. I also think that the way he made his way forward from 24th was with spirit and intent, because anybody who was about 10th on back, whether you made a pit stop or not, it was hard to make your way forward. He came forward quickly. Derek Thorne came forward quickly. I think we learned something tonight about how to approach this Snowflake. It's tough to get in, but once you're in, you better get forward, just stay clean and have a shot to win it.
Yeah, and I like what this bodes for tomorrow's race, honestly, as well. As Adam mentioned, we saw some passing tonight. Now, we did see some passing with some nudging as well, but that's exciting racing for sure.
Wide, baby.
That's right, especially around a fast racetrack. I know Dylan Capello walks away from this race here tonight probably pretty disappointed with having to go to the rear of the field for jumping a restart, but everybody knows who Dylan Capello is now as a race car driver.
And what we have, even in these conditions, we had 2-wide racing, 3-wide racing. I thought we'd have a little more issue actually for the lead, but we had racing side by side, and that tells you a lot about this racetrack, what the team has done, repairing that hole in turn 1. I mean, this track has lived up to every element of how do you conquer this place? You race against some of the best, you better figure it out. And they've had 3 or 4 days to figure it out, and it was a great race tonight to watch with the battle of the heavyweights, Matt Craig and then Stephen Nasse deciding it.
Indeed, and we saw some wrecks in this one, and certainly we're thinking about Casey Roderick, who's still getting checked out, but at the same time, that's what happens in the Snowflake. Throughout history, sometimes when people have to go to the back, it's cold out, track gets a little bit slippery, we see some people push it beyond the limits of those race cars.
And the panic really sets in, because if they make that early stop, we saw Bubba Pollard pit twice early. He pulled off the racetrack because his car just wasn't there. Jeremy Miller's been a veteran of, 1,000 races, including cleaning up during speed weeks in New Smyrna, not just up in the upper Midwest. He struggled tonight. It's not easy to find the right handle on these race cars, so commend the teams that came here loaded and ready to race in a 40-some car field.
And how about Carson Brown? Coming from 2 mishaps, still to a good finish in this one, charging through the field. It was a great run for the Anthony Campy racing team. I know Jim and I are pumped up to give you all the action on pit road tomorrow, interviews and a whole lot more from the 57th running of the Snowball Derby. And by the way, Eric and Adam, great job up there.
Thank you, gentlemen. Great job by you guys down there, giving us just about every story that was happening in real time. We appreciate all the efforts, and we know that there's a lot more still to come tomorrow on what was a jam-packed day for the Snowflake 100. The field was lined up and assembled. Didn't take long for our first of 6 lead changes to take place, with Matt Craig getting to the front early.
Matt Craig and Capello were good for this race. There was the contact from Jake Finch to the veteran. Augie Grill both went to the back. Same can be said, almost a replay. Derek Thorne, Carson Brown get together. Then Brown, while coming back through the field, Silas Ripley closing the door, nowhere to go.
And then Stephen Nasse on his charge up through the pack. This was the first 3-wide battle for the lead down to turn 1, with Capello dusting off the wall with the left sides to get back in command of this race. And then a big pile up in 3 and 4.
Wall went to the bottom a little bit late, down on the flat, couldn't keep it quite down as the 2 closed the door, and then this one over in turn 4. A big one, a couple of pile-ups in a row. Look out, Casey Roderick.
Scariest wreck of the night. This hard hit for Casey Roderick, who again walked from his car to the medical team as Matt Craig and Stephen Nasse continued their tussle for the top spot and race lead. And then it was Nasse who got command, but there was still some bumping and banging going on here. This was Dustin Smith in the back of Caden Honeycutt as the battles throughout the top 10 continued to the checkers. But with the line of media members there to snap the images of Stephen Nasse winning his first Snowflake 100, a jubilant family and a jubilant driver. For the first time in his career, he's won the Snowflake, and he'll try to back it up with a Derby victory tomorrow.
He can do it. Hey, come from 24th in 100 laps tonight. He's got 300 laps to come from 30th tomorrow, right?
Most competitive Snowflake 100 on record. As Adam mentioned, 6 lead changes amongst 3 drivers in a 100-lap affair. It was physical. It was passionate throughout. Adam, is tonight just an absolute glimpse as to what we're going to see tomorrow?
Yeah, I think so. Tomorrow, a little bit different. You have some more strategy involved, but we saw great racing, and I think you're going to see a great race between one of the tightest fields in Snowball Derby history from 1st through 30th in qualifying, just over 0.2 of a difference in qualifying last night. It's going to be a tough race tomorrow, and I don't know that we can pick a winner.
We've got more action still to come here from the Flags Speedway. We'll be on air with Snowball Derby coverage beginning at 11 a.m. Central, 12 p.m. Eastern, to give you all the pre-race news and notes leading up to the start of the 57th annual Snowball Derby from Flags Speedway. For Bob Dillner, Jim Trado, Adam Mackey, I'm Eric Brennan. We're signing off. We'll turn it over to Robbie Harvey and Bill Roth after the break for the Outlaw 50.